Welcome back to the PigPenPodcast. I am your host, Damian.
And I'm your host, Justin.
And dude, you know what, dude? I'm back. I'm back in the seat.
You're back in the
I'm
seat.
back in the seat,
And I'm
dude.
not in the seat anymore.
No, you're not.
I'm on the floor.
Yeah.
Indian style.
Indian style, like
Hands on my lap.
with your face directly pressed into my crotch.
I'm looking up at you expectantly.
Yeah. There's just a hanging, looming shadow over your face.
I don't know about hanging. Bless you.
Thank you.
You just erupted from your mouth.
You know, I erupt a lot. But yeah, I'm back in the seat, dude. We're gonna be talking about some Metal Gear.
Yeah, man. Back to the franchise where it all started.
Metal Gear, dude. Real quick before we start talking about Metal Gear, because it's once I start talking about Metal Gear, I'm gonna keep talking about Metal Gear.
Of course, yeah.
So do you wanna do me a favor and tell the folks where they can find us?
We can find each other on YouTube, Spotify, and on this couch together.
And that's where we can find each other, or where the
Yeah.
audience can find us.
They can find us there too if they want.
Okay. It is slightly interesting though. You contradicted yourself because you originally said you're on the floor in an Indian.
I have to keep the people guessing.
So they don't actually know where you're at.
No.
Do I know where you're at?
No, you don't know me.
Oh, okay. Nice. But yeah, Big Pen Podcast, Spotify, YouTube every Friday.
No spaces.
No spaces, dude.
Nope.
No spaces.
And also, just to mention, if this is the first episode of the Exposition Seat you've watched, first of all, mistake.
Very big mistake.
Second of all,
also, I can't entirely blame you though, because I've listened to our first episode of the Exposition Seat, and the audio was honestly kind of rough.
It's been an uphill. It's been a roller coaster, and we've been going uphill this whole time.
We're improving.
Progressing.
We're improving.
But yeah, this is our show where one of us is in the seat and the other one's on the floor, and the one in the seat is explaining a form of media to the other one that they've never consumed. And what game are we doing today, Dame?
We are doing Metal Gear Solid Peace Walker.
Let's go.
You may say, Dame, this sounds like the first Metal Gear Solid that doesn't have a numerical number attached to it. And
that
you'd
was
be
my
right.
immediate thought.
Yeah,
I was like, where's the numerical number?
I know. I read your mind.
And where is it?
It's not there.
Why?
I mean, I can tell you, but I mean, I guess I can tell you now.
Yeah, that's usually, when I ask a question, I want you to answer.
You want me to answer it right
immediately.
Away? Okay. Well,
keep that in your mind.
I will keep that on my mind, and we can continue talking about Metal Gear now.
I might have just said mind and head at the same time.
Med?
Yeah, I said med.
Med.
All right, I'll stop.
Yeah, thank you. Okay, but yeah, so Peace Walker, if you remember, dude, MGS4, Hideo Kojima, the director and mastermind behind the Metal Gear franchise, he was very adamant that 4 was going to be his last Metal Gear.
I remember that, yeah.
Got death threats and everything.
Yeah.
Obviously, it was not, because we're only covering the games he was involved in. Peace Walker, I honestly couldn't find much information about why he came back for Peace Walker or 5. I think it's more of a case of he kind of just accepted his fate as being tied to this franchise forever. At that point. Like after MGS4, he was like, you know what, I think I'm stuck here.
Yeah, that is fair, actually, because I feel like when you start something that eventually takes off, whether it's like, you're an actor and in a certain franchise, or you're a writer in a certain genre, but like he literally made such a groundbreaking game, and he continued to make more groundbreaking games.
Yeah.
And at that point,
it's kind of like Martin Scorsese. Like the dude only does like mafia mob movies.
Well, that's definitely what he's really good at. Yeah.
It's like a typecast. It's like what actor? Chris Pratt is like the jokey, quippy Star-Lord type character in every movie he's in.
Yeah, the typecast is that's a good example. But like when it comes down to Hideo Kojima, I can understand. I can understand because it's not even like as bad as getting typecast, because he at least has something to show for it.
Yeah. I would say he is definitely considered an auteur in the video game sphere.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it has a happy ending for him. Kind of. We'll get to that with MGS5, but I mean, obviously, there's an end to the MGS directed by Hideo Kojima saga,
Yeah.
and the last game he made was Death Stranding, so it wasn't MGS.
Yeah. And is
So,
that the only other game outside of the Metal Gear franchise?
he's made some games before MGS. He
Gotcha.
made, if I remember correctly, it's Police Knots and also what the fuck was it? Snatcher.
Hmm.
Snatcher and Police Knots were two games he made.
So those would have been like real old because if it was before the first Metal Gear game,
No, it wasn't before Metal Gear. It was before Metal Gear Solid 1. So it was
so
in
it was after
between.
those two games.
Yeah, it was in between Metal Gear 2 and MGS 1.
Okay.
Because, he wasn't like tired of the series at that point.
Yeah. Yeah.
MGS 2 was like the first game where he was like, this is my last MGS. That's like when he got tired of the franchise.
Yeah.
But then he got dragged back. He got pulled out of retirement for
Yep,
3.
yeah, he got pulled back out of retirement, and he forced us to have to watch Naomi
Yeah, unfortunately.
or Naomi. Which one is it?
Naomi.
My bad.
But yeah, so the weird thing about this game is it doesn't have a numerical number, right?
Yes.
Metal Gear Solid Peace Walker. It came out in 2010 and was a PSP exclusive.
Man, I hate the exclusives.
I hate the exclusives too.
They always annoy me.
Well, I don't know if I mentioned this in our MGS4 videos, but MGS4 is still locked to the PlayStation 3.
No, I did
It
not
has
know that.
never been released on a single other console.
That's tragic.
It is only playable on PS3.
Yeah, and we're a couple of Xbox guys.
Yeah, and the good thing though is that the theory behind Metal Gear Solid: The Master Collection Volume 2 is that it's going to have MGS4 on it, and it will be released for all current day consoles.
Oh, that's
So,
nice. That is
That is
nice.
like a big theory in the community.
To be fair though, it's a good ploy to make money. If you console lock something and then come out with a remastered edition and release it on all consoles.
Yeah, I mean, speaking of Death Stranding, I've never played Death Stranding because it was a PlayStation exclusive. And then
Yeah.
I literally just found out that they released it on the Xbox like
Yeah.
a week ago. Immediately bought it.
Yep.
Took my money.
They got
See?
Yeah.
See?
Yeah.
Little example right there. But yeah, so Peace Walker was it was a PSP exclusive. And the fact that it was a PSP exclusive, Konami did not want them to put a number on it because it was a handheld console exclusive.
Gotcha. So they didn't want it to be like they didn't want it to feel like it was needed like for a story.
Yeah, they didn't want it to feel like it was needed. However, it is one of the most crucial games in the franchise.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Okay.
If you don't play Peace Walker, literally not a single goddamn thing in 5 will make sense.
Okay.
So if you don't know anything about this game, 5 won't make sense at all.
Yeah, well that seems pretty important.
This is also a
Good.
pretty big game for Big Boss's character.
Yeah.
But this game was originally supposed to be MGS5.
Okay.
But since
Because of the
Konami,
numerical thing.
yeah, since Konami didn't want the numbers, they changed it to Peace Walker.
Gotcha. Yeah.
But it was released in 2010, and since it was on the PSP, dude, the graphics are not as good as like the rest of the franchise, which I have always not been super fond of.
Yeah, that makes sense. The downgrade.
Yeah, very big downgrade actually. And the controls, since they're PSP controls, I guess they were fine on the PSP, but when they later released this game on like various collections for other consoles, the controls did not translate well. Like you can't, if I remember correctly, you can't crawl. You can lay down.
Wow.
But you can't move while you're laying down.
That's honestly, dude, that's pretty offensive to babies, I think.
That is okay.
Like,
you think babies take offense to that?
Yeah, I would.
Okay.
What do you mean? Like, you can't crawl?
Yeah, I guess.
You can only lay down? What are they trying to say with that?
I think it was a hardware
What's the meaning?
I think it was a hardware limitation thing.
What is the meaning?
The meaning, everything has meaning.
You can only walk and lie down. What are they doing to us?
You can crouch walk.
All right, I'll let that slide.
Yeah, see,
okay.
There's a silver lining. There's a saving grace. But the fact that it is a PSP exclusive plays a bigger role than you would think. this and 5 are both, they're not like all of the rest of the Metal Gear games we've covered. They're not an overarching story that is, go from point A to point B to point C. They're mission based.
Ooh.
You have like mission select screens, and you can choose to do missions and like side missions and stuff.
So you don't have to do it in order.
You don't have to do it in order. With like the main important story missions, you don't unlock them until you do have to do those in order. But it's not like you're doing the story of the game only. It's like there's all this extra side content that you can just continuously do, or you can go back and replay certain missions.
Okay.
But missions are broken up into bite-sized little bits. You know what I mean? So instead of, MGS4, Act 4 being this huge, massive epic of Snake going back to Shadow Moses, you have, like, infiltrate this one base and find this guy for intel.
Gotcha.
So it's much smaller scale from where we were currently before.
Yeah.
MGS5 keeps the same exact structure of mission bases. I will say with Peace Walker, it is a lot more easy for me to streamline it when I'm telling you. So I'm just going to tell it like I told the story for the rest of the games. But when we get to 5, I'm going to have to probably, because like the way they do the missions in that game is just so weird that I'm probably going to have to do it a different way. But right now, it's still pretty streamlined. I can still tell you the entire story, just like front to back, until the end. Then I'll have to mention some like post-game content. You know what I mean?
Yep.
But are you ready to hop into MGS Peace Walker, dude?
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Absolutely fruity. There's nothing else we gotta say before I get into this. There's no. I should probably give everyone a recap, right?
I guess, dude. I
Okay.
mean, I remember everything so well. So this isn't. I don't even need this. Do it for the audience.
What was the boss's will?
The boss's will. It was, first of all. Well, I won't say that, but it was that she wanted peace, and Snake took it one way, and Big Boss took it one way, and who's the other guy?
Zero.
Ocelot?
Zero.
Yeah, Zero took it another way, and they both took it a weird way.
I'd say Zero took it more literally than Big Boss did.
Yeah. But wasn't her thing like she just wanted peace or something like that?
So the boss, at the end of MGS3, the boss gave like this big spiel about how she saw the Earth as an entity with no conflicts, and basically described how she wished that the world could be like, this big utopia with no fighting, no nothing. Everything is just one entity.
Right, yeah.
Essentially, what she wanted is a world without humans, because humans breed conflict.
I see.
But that she just gave like a vague, like, oh, I wish that the world could just be one.
Did she say that? She didn't want humans?
No. She never said that.
Oh.
I said that just now.
Oh.
I'm saying her perfect vision of the planet would essentially be the planet without humans.
The planet without life in general?
Well, humans specifically, because, like animals, they got like their kingdoms, but they don't create massive wars that destroy the earth.
Yeah, humans are definitely a lot more of the...
Destructive.
A lot more of the, what's the word? Yeah, destructive, but like
the bosses.
There's so many of us. That's the problem. There's so many people that
I would say there's more ants than there are humans. However, ants can't destroy the world.
That's what I'm saying. Like, I'm not saying there's too many people. That's a whole other conversation. But I'm saying like because of we are predators and we are we're the most populated,
and we also
that is.
I don't know if we have the highest intellect, right?
Yes. That's not. How is that a question?
Well, I know that like dolphins are like extremely smart, right?
Yeah. Well, actually, maybe it is a question. Maybe that's still something people are trying to figure out. But I would say yes, just because of where we're at.
We're the ones
society.
We're the ones with like consciousness to the point where we can create civilizations.
Yeah, we're the ones who have existential thoughts that lead to.
We're the ones
depression.
Who can create, enough damage that the world is destroyed.
Yeah.
We're the ones who
we're smart enough to destroy the planet.
Yeah, we can nuke the world and, a beetle can't.
Yeah.
So
we're smart enough that we care a lot about money.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yep.
But no, okay, so the boss's whole thing was that She worked essentially like in World War II, like Russia and the US fought against Germany.
Yeah.
Well, like after World War II, there was the Cold War, which was Russia and the US like in a Cold War against nukes from each other. And there's this huge like space race and all this stuff.
Yeah.
That's why she mentioned all of the stuff about like her going to space and then like the Bay of Pigs slaughter.
Oh,
Is
okay. I do remember that.
basically her whole thing was that I've worked for both sides and we used to be friends, so why do we hate each other now? That human like conflict it's friends of today will be enemies of tomorrow. Like it never stays the
Mm.
same. There's no
Mhm.
point to any of this. It doesn't matter. Like I wish that everything would just be one.
Mhm.
Basically, the boss gave an impossible want.
Yeah.
She wanted something that was just not it's just not feasibly possible with like, giving all humans free will.
Yeah. Because when people are living in peace, they get restless.
Yeah,
They
and
yearn. They yearn for the war.
Big Boss took it his own way and Zero took it his own way.
Right.
As we've learned, Zero took it in a way of creating this controlling information that way you can control what people think they want and give them the illusion of free will,
Yeah.
um, and keep them, into a system of one being. That's what Zero wanted to do, which is why he created the AIs that became the Patriots, and the AIs grew a life of their own. So that's how Zero's plan went awry. Big Boss, his takeaway of the philosophy was that he looked at it a lot more from the military side because, he was a soldier and he saw how the US betrayed the boss and how like she was controlled in all of her actions, but also she was still a patriot, but then deemed a traitor and all of this stuff that like happened in that game. Big Boss saw all of that and was like, I don't ever want that to happen again. So I'm going to create a nation, or I'm going to create a group of soldiers who we can just be soldiers under without the backstabbing and traitorous nature of like the big governments.
Yeah. Which I'm still trying to wrap my head around what that means.
He he basically took the theme of unity and applied it only to soldiers, and he wanted
Right. But that's the weird part.
yes, but we did have this conversation
I
before,
know. I
but it,
know.
it is it is a hypocrisy on Big Boss's part.
Yeah.
Is basically he is thinking selfishly. Is he wants like um he wants like a nation where his soldiers can be one entity, but obviously there's still going to be a leader.
Yeah.
And who's going to be that leader?
Right. Because
Big
he's
Boss.
a nation with soldiers. It's
Yes.
just another nation.
Yes, it is. That's the
But he
hypocrisy.
wants to be the leader of it.
Well,
So
he doesn't
he's the
necessarily.
real bad guy.
Well, I mean, Big Boss was a bad guy in the first two at Metal Gears.
That is true.
The whole thing about Big Boss is how did he become a bad guy?
You know what?
Because in MGS3 he was a good guy.
I will say his agenda being confusing is making me interested to see what leads up to the other games.
Well, that's what Peace Walker and 5 will
Yeah.
kind of delve
Yeah.
further into.
That is yeah.
I don't know
I
how
am
much
intrigued.
I don't know how much of like okay, you know what? We'll just we've been talking for 20 minutes. We'll get into the game.
Okay.
But yeah, that's where we're going. Just remember the MGS3, all that shit happened in that game. Big Boss is disillusioned with the government, and Zero has his own ideas of what he wants to do with the boss as well.
And Big Boss still is under America, right?
Yes, after MGS3. This game does not take place directly after MGS3.
Okay, so there's been some time.
This
Then
game,
I'll wait and see what happens.
I will say this now because it's just kind of set
Okay,
dressing.
okay.
But it takes place 10 years after MGS3.
Oh wow.
So this is in 1974.
Oh wow.
So there's been a while, but since, the end of that game.
Yeah.
There are events that happened off screen. We know those events because of like timelines and stuff that like MGS3 gave us, and the previous games they also gave us timelines, so we know certain events that happened within that time frame, but they do happen off screen.
Okay.
The big thing that we need to know though is that after MGS3, Big Boss didn't like leave America. Him and Zero, and with Paramedic and Sigint, they basically created like their own group, which was like, I don't remember if they were called the Patriots yet, but it's essentially the Patriots. That they created that after MGS3. using
Gotcha.
the philosopher's legacy that Ocelot stole.
Okay.
Um, and then remember there was
So
like,
Ocelot's on their team.
yeah, Ocelot was working for the CIA the whole time.
Yeah, and now
He's
he's
a triple
defected.
agent. Well, we don't know. I mean, kind of, I guess. Ocelot's on all sides at all times.
But if he's like gave them the philosopher's legacy, he's on their side though.
Yeah, he's on their side, but I wouldn't say he's not like in the room working with them at all times. You know what I mean?
I see.
So it's not like he's like Zero's right hand man. However, he's an ally.
I get what you mean. Okay.
Yeah. But in the time between MGS3 and MGS Peace Walker, in 1972, the L'Enfant Terrible project happened.
So this happened before the Peace Walker?
Yes, which was the incident that caused Big Boss to leave the Patriots.
Yeah.
Because, Big Boss, he joined Zero in the Patriots. Zero used him as like a front man. And basically, Big Boss was still disillusioned with America, didn't know what he was doing with his life. And then Zero did that to him. And he was like, okay, I'm done. I'm out of here.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
Okay. And that's where our game starts.
Okay.
In 1974. So this is 2 years after the L'Enfant Terrible project.
Zero and Big Boss are split up.
Yes. There's essentially a Cold War between the two.
Gotcha.
So nothing like no massive missiles or anything being shot at each other, but like knowledge and information, like, classic spy espionage
The
shit.
threat is looming, but neither one is taking the stab at each other.
So we start our game on a beach. This beach is drenched in rain, and it's in the Barranquilla coast of Colombia. So we are in South America.
Gotcha.
We see Big Boss. He's smoking a cigar, and he smacks it's like a wooden sign that's like in the ground. He smacks it, and the sign spins around, and we see a logo and the words "Militaires Sans Frontières," also known as MSF.
Military on the front.
Soldiers Without Borders. You were close.
Soldiers Without Borders?
Yeah.
Okay.
Soldiers Without Borders, remember his whole thing is in
It sounds like sounds like a charity.
It does kind of sound like a charity.
Donate to Soldiers Without Borders.
We're
soldiers who practically go anywhere we want and kill whoever we want. Give us money.
I mean, that's essentially what it is it's like Big Boss takes in soldiers that feel like their country has betrayed them and shit.
So it just sounds like a mercenary group, kind of?
Yeah, it is essentially a mercenary group at this point.
Got it.
I wouldn't say that they're mercenaries yet, but it's like a mercenary group. Does that make sense? Like, they don't, like, take missions for money, like, from anyone. Like, they're very selective about their clientele, and they, like, make sure that, like, their political affiliations are not being dragged into stuff.
So they're not just working for any
no, they don't work for
Dan or Steve out there.
No, they're like, not philanthropists, but, like, they essentially do, like, charity work.
Okay.
At this point.
Yeah. So they're like vigilantes.
Yeah, kind of like Vigilantes Without Borders.
Nice.
Yeah, dude. But we see Big Boss. He doesn't have his shirt on, and he's got a big S-shaped scar running down his chest.
Mm-hmm.
If you remember, the boss also had an S-shaped scar running down her chest from when she had a C-section.
I vaguely remember that. Oh, right. Yeah,
because they cut Ocelot out of her on the beaches of Normandy.
Yeah. Yeah.
Also, I will say, I listened a little bit more, and the context clues are things that the Sorrow tells you in that game. So the game essentially confirms Ocelot's her child.
Gotcha.
Because I know I said that, and I didn't really give you any evidence, but yeah, I'm just telling you that is like confirmed. It wasn't just me talking up my ass.
Yeah.
Okay. But yeah, Big Boss has got this scar, and he starts walking down the beach drenched in rain, and we see many soldiers training with Big Boss. Like, they're all like, like CQCing with each other, and like kind of just like a big powwow.
Okay.
Dude, and
you want to CQC together?
CQC, dude. Let's go to the back room and we can CQC for a while.
Okay.
I'm sure Big Boss doesn't see that.
I want to show you some moves.
Yeah, dude. But first, we got to finish this podcast.
All right.
Sound good?
I guess.
After this podcast, we can go CQC each other?
Yeah, whatever.
Good boy.
As Big Boss is training with these soldiers, we see a car pull up. And inside this car is Kazuhira Miller. I don't know if you remember, but do you remember Master Miller?
Yeah. MM?
Yeah,
Yeah.
from MGS1 and Metal Gear 2.
Yeah.
That is him.
Oh, really?
Yeah, this is Master Miller before he was Master Miller. This is Kazuhira Miller.
Oh. I feel like I remember that guy looking way different.
No, he looks pretty much the same.
Okay, I'm probably thinking of a different character. I do remember MM though.
Yeah, he was the one that Liquid posed as in MGS1.
Yeah.
Because we found out that he actually was killed in his home in Alaska.
Yeah.
But
Okay.
yeah, he's working with Big Boss, so you can drop that one in your head.
Nice.
The game doesn't tell us right away, but through like cassette like recordings later on that you can listen to, we learn that just prior to Peace Walker, like the events of this game, Big Boss, he was doing like a job for the Colombian government, and Kaz was working with the rebels who were fighting against the Colombian government. Big Boss and Kaz were on opposing sides, and Kaz kind of like a grenade got thrown into Kaz's area, and he jumped on top of it to like save some of his comrades, and it was a dud, so it didn't go off. But Big Boss was like really impressed with like his bravery and like camaraderie, so Big Boss essentially recruited him into MSF.
Okay.
So that's how they met. But yeah, Big Boss or Kaz shows up in the car with some guests he has, and he tells Big Boss that he has guests waiting, so he needs to come with him now. When one of the soldiers that was training with Big Boss runs up to him and he says, "Thanks, Big Boss, for all the training," and Big Boss says, "Call me Snake."
Oh.
He doesn't identify as Big Boss yet.
Oh, okay.
He like essentially he has the name Big Boss, like it's his title, but he doesn't like being called Big Boss.
I see.
Yeah.
Because it was given to him by the president, right?
Well, it was given to him by the president because he killed the boss.
Yeah.
But yeah, Snake at this point, I will refer to him as Snake, but he does not want to be identified as Big Boss yet.
Makes sense. Okay.
So we cut to Kaz and Snake, and they are talking to their guests, and we are introduced to Ramon Galvez and Paz Ortega Andrade.
Some names right there.
Yeah. These two, they're from like a school in Costa Rica. Basically, like I think the game calls it a school of peace or something. I don't remember exactly how the school works, but Ramon Galvez is essentially a teacher there, and Paz is one of his students.
I feel like a school of peace is just already an immediate inconsistency.
Get ready.
If it's a school, there's no peace there.
Get ready to hear me say the word peace a trillion times.
Okay. I'm prepared.
Fun fact, her name's Paz. Do you know what Paz means?
Peace.
It means peace. Do you know what Kaz means in Japanese? It means peace.
Does it really?
Yeah.
Look at them.
Yeah, dude. But Galvez, I'm gonna refer to him as Galvez, even though his first name is Ramon. He tells Snake that he's from Costa Rica. He's a teacher, and he is worried about the growing number of soldiers and armies, and the growing amount of weaponry that is being brought in by like shiploads and cargo.
Into Brazil?
Into Costa Rica.
Sorry.
Where'd you get Brazil from?
It was just on my mind.
Brazil. No, yeah, Costa Rica.
I think because we've been saying there's just been Kaz, Paz, and then I was like,
Paz, Colombia,
Brazil.
Costa Rica,
Yeah.
Brazil.
Brazil. You ever heard that song?
No.
Doesn't exist. Gotcha.
I was letting you go with it, though. I figured you had somewhere, and apparently you didn't.
There is a song called Brazilian Soul, and that popped in my head, but I couldn't remember what it sounded like.
Brazil.
So I said that.
Brazil.
Okay.
Okay, no, but Snake, he asks, he's like, where's all the cash that is coming to, like, how are they bringing all this stuff in? Like, who's backing them? And Galvez, he responds and he says that he fears that the CIA, yeah, I don't know why I just was like, dude, I said
Brazil?
I said CIA, and my brain was like, that's not an organization. You said that incorrectly. I'm like, what?
Yeah.
But no, basically, Galvez, he says he's like worried about the growing number of armies that are coming into Costa Rica. Snake's like, who's backing them up? Like, do you know? And Ramon Galvez, he's like, I think the CIA is involved.
Yeah.
Snake pops a boner from this because he still's got a hard on for hating America.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So he's like, oh, we have an enemy.
Yeah.
We have our heading.
Well, not exactly, but this perks his interest.
Okay.
Galvez, he thinks that the CIA is smuggling things into Costa Rica, and he's like, hey, I want you to deal with this. Yeah, Costa Rica?
Is it Costa Rica?
Oh, I said it is Costa Rica. Yeah. Costa Rica is
I didn't have to
not
say
real.
anything, but there was just a little
don't-
voice inside my head that said, say it.
I don't even know
Mention him.
I literally don't know if the mic picked that up, but I said Costa Rica the first time and he went, Costa Rica. And I'm like, what are you talking about?
It's okay. I had to make up for me saying Brazil. We both made mistakes.
We just don't know South America, okay? Sorry. But this game, it'll teach us, dude. It'll teach us.
Yeah, it's a lesson.
Yeah. But anyways, Galvez, he says to Snake, he says, I understand that you and your men have neither state nor ideology, that you will fight for any foe, and I want you to help me. And he kind of begs Snake to step in and drive the quote-unquote CIA out of Costa Rica. He says, I can't afford to pay you that much with like actual money, but I can offer you an offshore base in the Caribbean Sea. That way you guys can like make your own home there.
Nice.
Kaz is immediately on board. Kaz steps in and he's like, oh yeah, that sounds great. And Snake like holds him back and he's like, no. Snake's like, we're not just dogs of war. And you're going to have to find a political solution. We can't help you. So Snake doesn't want to help them at all.
So he wants them to drive these armies out that are gathering in Costa Rica, but they haven't done anything yet, right?
Yes, he's just concerned about how much like military equipment they're bringing into Costa Rica.
And Snake's thing is he doesn't want to engage yet because nothing's happened.
He
basically.
That, and also he doesn't really want to get like hold up with actual like being on opposing sides of like big forces. You know what I mean?
Okay.
Like he doesn't want to get involved with something if the CIA is going on.
So he just too much.
It's too risky.
Yeah,
too risky. And Snake's pretty much like, yes, sorry.
Yeah.
I don't want to.
Okay.
But then Paz, the girl that came with Galvez, she jumps in, and we learn that the enemy forces who have been coming into Costa Rica captured her and her friend while they were out bird watching. And Paz says that they did unspeakable things to her, even though she's only 16.
Wow.
Yeah. Paz says that she escaped, but her friend is still missing. And I kid you not, Snake says, like verbatim, he says, sorry, kid.
Dang.
He's sticking to his guns. He's
That's
like,
sad.
Yeah, he's like,
if she's telling the truth, that's sad.
Yeah, but I mean, honestly, can you really blame Snake? Because like, it sounds like there's some fishy shit going on, and he just doesn't want to get involved.
Right, that's what I'm saying. It's like that is sad, but like he doesn't know if they're telling the truth.
But after Snake tells Paz that essentially, sorry, but no, Galvez jumps back in and he says, I know you're Big Boss. That's why I came here to get your help. Because Big Boss is like, obviously we know that Snake is Big Boss, but like the world, it's like he tries to keep it hidden at this point. He doesn't like being known as Big Boss.
Gotcha.
So Galvez is like, yeah, I know you're Big Boss. That's why I'm here. Like, you have to help us. And Snake says, that's just a code name made up by the CIA. Like, he is adamant. Like, I don't want to deal with this. I'm not Big Boss. I'm good. And he starts getting annoyed with Galvez. Paz walks away, and Snake is like, if this really is about the CIA, how do I know you're not from the KGB? And Galvez doesn't even hide it. Straight up said, he confirms Snake's suspicions. He's like, yeah, I'm affiliated with the KGB, but so what? And Paz and Snake are like, does Paz know? With the schoolgirl? And Galvez is like, no, I've kept all of it from her. She doesn't know. But, I still need your help. And Snake is like, I'm really not getting involved. I'm not getting involved with shit that's going on between the KGB and the CIA.
Yeah.
And Galvez says, fine, I may have something else that might interest you. And he pulls out a cassette. He tells Snake that this cassette holds the audio that Paz and her friend got before they were captured. Galvez plays it, and we hear a voice in the distance. It's kind of hard to hear, so Snake takes a moment. He puts it up to his ear and he listens. And as he's listening, the cigar drops out of his mouth as he hears the voice of the boss say, "Go home."
Really?
Yeah.
The boss was bird watching with them?
No, it's like in the distance, like they caught something they weren't supposed to,
Okay.
like on this tape. Like they were out
How
bird
long
watching.
ago was this?
Oh, we don't know. We assume like maybe a couple weeks.
Oh, okay. So she would be dead.
Yeah, no, boss would be dead.
Okay.
But Galvez, he confirms, he says the voice analysis is a match to that of the internationally known war. Wow, my words started melding together.
Wait, it's a parrot.
He says the voice analysis is a match to that of the internationally known war criminal, the boss. Snake starts to breathe heavy. You start seeing sweat, like visibly start coming down his face. And Galvez asks if now he'll take the job. Kaz chimes in. He's like, Snake, it's got to be a trap. Like, this is so fishy. They're clearly setting us up. And Snake stands up. He grabs the cassette and he says, fine, I'll do it for the girl.
Didn't Ocelot have a parrot?
Ocelot did not have a parrot.
Who had a parrot?
The
Somebody had a
End.
parrot.
The End had a parrot.
The End had a
And
parrot.
Emma Emmerich also had a parrot.
Okay.
Are two parrots of the series.
Got it.
Yeah. But yeah, Snake stands up, he grabs the cassette, and he says, I'll do it for the girl.
Interesting.
So basically, he's like, yeah, I'll do it for Paz. You know, they did all that terrible shit to her. But we all know that's not why Snake is doing it.
He's doing it because he heard a voice recording of the boss.
Yes.
Okay.
And I mean, like I said, he like immediately, as soon as he hears the word go home, his cigar drops, he starts breathing heavy. You can see sweat start running down his face. Like, this is very clearly a desperate man who's like, oh my God, the boss is alive.
Does he actually believe that though?
He doesn't like believe she's alive, but he's like, there's got to be fishy shit going on with her.
Okay.
Like, that's her voice.
Okay.
Like, what the fuck is going on? And he's like, I gotta know because, you know, he's still like traumatized over the events of Snake Eater. Okay, so this is kind of where I mentioned like the mission like selection kind of takes in, because normally like it would show how he gets here, but we kind of just cut to Snake sneaking through Costa Rica because it's just the mission that you go on from your select screen.
Yeah.
So just like picture that like he gets ready and stuff and then heads out. But we cut to Snake. He's sneaking through a Costa Rican jungle, and he's infiltrating the area where Paz and her friend went missing to see if he can find any info about what's going on. He finds a small base and he breaks into it, where he overhears the guy who's like on comms. He hears him talking about spears. And I don't know if they still refer to them as this, but like in the 70s, spears was referred to as nukes.
Okay.
So he hears the guy talking about spears. Snake basically sneaks up on the guy, interrogates him, and then knocks him out. And when a giant mechanical device flies overhead, singing an eerie tune, and it's like la 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 la
Brazil,
yeah.
Brazil,
Brazil.
Okay.
But yeah, a big like it's too far away, so Snake can't really see it or anything. But like a giant,
Just hears it.
yeah. Well, you can see it, but you can't like make out any details. But like a giant flying device flies overhead.
Okay.
You know, singing this weird song.
Yeah.
And Snake calls Kaz on the radio, and he's like, he tells Kaz everything that just happened. Like, this is more drawn out than I'm making it sound. It's like, you know, it's with the music behind it and shit. It feels epic, but like it's kind of just like the intro.
Yeah.
Snake, he tells Kaz everything he just heard, and Kaz gives us, he says, "Holy Mother of God," and then we get a title screen, baby.
Okay.
Yeah.
And that little song thingy, no words, right? Just music.
Yep, just la 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 la
Okay,
la la.
got it. Gotcha. Into it.
All right, dude.
Into the fray.
But after our title screen, we get a radio call from Kaz. He tells us that they began building Mother Base, which is like that offshore facility in the Caribbean.
Oh, okay, so
that
they already have access.
Yep, they got it. And I will say, I'll mention this now. I may mention it a couple times throughout the episode, but I'm just gonna like give a broad statement right now. Mother Base is something you built as the player. Like when you're out in the field, you can extract guys and have them sent back to Mother Base, and they actually join your ranks. Like you can see them in your like staffing section.
Okay,
And you can see Mother Base get built bigger and bigger as you like continue throughout the game.
that's cool. Can you
Um,
ever visit it?
Not in this game.
Oh, okay.
It's just PSP hardware issues. But like you can see it. There's like a viewer screen where like you can watch as it gets bigger,
Yeah.
but you can't like go there.
Okay.
However, like if you knock out a guy in the field, like his name, say his name is like Running Iguana or something.
Yeah.
They all have like stupid code
I was gonna
names.
say it's a very Metal Gear name.
Yeah, his name is Running Iguana.
Yeah.
You knock him out in the field, and then you use the Fulton extraction system, which is basically Snake plops a balloon on him, and then it flies him into the
Yeah.
sky.
Yeah.
Um, that's a real thing, by the way. I didn't know that until like a couple months ago, but the
Yeah.
Fulton system is something the CIA actually used in real life.
Yeah. Isn't that what Batman used in the Dark Knight?
I think that was just a parachute.
Or no, which one was it? Yeah, it was the Dark Knight. I don't remember.
Oh no, dude, you're right. You're
Yeah,
right. No,
'cause-
you're
'cause
actually right.
Michael Caine, he's like, use the Fulton. No, it was the other one. Mike oh, what's his name? Who plays Fox? I can't remember his name.
Freeman.
Yeah, Freeman.
What's his first? It's not Gordon.
Morgan.
Morgan Freeman.
Yeah, Morgan's like, we gotta use the old military, the Fulton. I don't know. I feel like that's what that's what they use though. It
Yeah,
just popped
no,
in my
no,
head.
no. You're actually right because I'm now remembering that in the interview with Morgan Freeman, he like just went into detail about how it's like an old CIA practice.
Yeah. Okay, but I can visualize that. Yeah.
But yeah, Snake uses the Fulton recovery system to like extract people.
Okay.
So say you extract Running Iguana, when you go to the pause menu and you go to your Mother Base menu, you'll see Running Iguana in your staff,
Mm-hmm.
and you can like see all of the stats and stuff. And like you can hire people and put them into new sections because there's like you got like your base building section, you got your R&D team, you got your fighting team. So you got all this, and you can build Mother Base and like have their stats be built and like construct new platforms. And it's this cool, huge base builder mini game throughout the entire game.
Okay.
It's
got it.
insane. And it really makes you love Mother Base because you literally build it from the ground up.
Yeah.
Because it is just one platform.
And does this ever play a part in the does it play a part in the next game?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. That's why I'm making a very clear point that you are the one who builds Mother Base.
Okay. Makes sense.
Because Mother Base, it does come back up, or it comes back up around later.
Yeah. Yeah. I wouldn't be surprised if this is like one of the places where a later game takes place that we've already done. I don't know.
It looks
like-
exactly like the big shell.
Yeah,
that makes you
that's
feel
what I
like
was
that.
thinking of. Like,
Yeah.
does the Mother Base turn into something? But I don't know. I'm not thinking too deeply on it.
Okay, but yeah. So basically, causes like Mother Base is underway. We've started construction and everything, and he's telling Snake how happy he is that MSF is finally going to have like their own stronghold.
Mm-hmm.
Snake, he's out in the jungle, just kind of like trying to figure out where to go next. And as he's talking to Kaz, Snake is like, "Hey, I need a better lay of the land. I don't know where I'm going. I don't know Costa Rica that well." So Kaz tells Snake, he's like, "You should meet up with a group of the local Sandinistas, which they're like a resistance group, basically fighting against like the oppression that the Colombian government is trying to do on Costa Rica."
Gotcha.
Yeah, so that's the Sandinistas. He tells Snake that he should meet up with them, and so Snake does. He makes it to the camp where they're supposed to be, and he finds a group of them, and they're tied up. A girl who goes by the name of Amanda, she explains that her father was the leader of the Sandinistas, but he died, and that makes her the next leader by default. she's like, unfortunately, no one views me as a leader. So as you can see, our group isn't really in a super great shape right now.
Okay.
Um,
Are they're a little sexist?
yeah, I wouldn't say they're exactly sexist, but yes, they're definitely sexist.
This woman can't lead us.
Yeah, it's more so I feel like they're like, yeah, honestly, you're probably right. You're probably right. That's probably what it is now that I'm thinking about it.
But at the same time, maybe it just also boils down to her not really having a lot of what's the word experience.
It could be that too. I don't know. It's just kind of like the men of the resistance group don't really respect her.
Yeah.
And she's supposed
She's
to be
aware
their
of
new leader.
this,
And
yeah.
they've been captured, which is why they're all tied up. Like they got captured and put into this
Oh, he's rescuing them?
yeah.
Oh, okay.
Because he was supposed to meet up with them here, but when he gets there, they're all tied up in a cabin.
Okay.
So it's like a group of soldiers came through and basically
So he was gonna meet them at the cabin, but then they were just already there, tied up.
yeah.
Okay. Well, that's nice.
Yeah, well, he doesn't leave them tied up like you
Yeah,
know
like the
in
first
previous
game.
games.
Yeah.
He actually unties them.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So he unties them, and we also see that Amanda, her little brother, his name is Chico, and he is also with her in this resistance.
I'd rather Chico be our leader. He's
Uh,
a real man.
If I remember correctly, I think Chico is 13. So not a great idea to let Chico
Chico's
lead.
a man.
No.
No, get her out of here.
Get that goddamn Amanda out of here. I don't want Amanda to
Bring
be
that
here.
boy in.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, that's actually a thing. They call her Amanda. They don't call her Commandante, which is what they call their like
Man,
captain.
disrespect.
Yeah. So that's like her thing right now. But after she kind of like explains like how the Sandinistas like what they're all doing, she keeps talking to Snake when the giant flying robot from before flies overhead. It's singing its song. Brazil. But dude, you said Brazil and it killed my brain.
I'm sorry.
Okay, so no, this giant flying robot shows up.
Yeah.
And it starts attacking them.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
It shoots out like a tentacle, not tentacle, but it's like a steel grapple or something, and basically picks up Chico.
No.
Yeah, and it starts flying off of Chico. And Amanda tries to, rescue him, but she can't. And Chico is taken.
Wow.
And Amanda is almost taken in this process, but Snake does manage to free her. However, she's badly injured. Her leg is broken, like pretty bad.
So this is basically like an eagle. It just swooped down and
It swooped down, took Chico, injured
the smallest child it could find.
Broke Amanda's leg, and then dipped out.
Nice.
Also, I haven't really given you a reference, but this thing is huge. This thing is the size of a Metal Gear.
Okay. Of course.
Yeah.
That is insane. That's massive.
How do you feel about
Isn't that like the size of a skyscraper?
Not Metal Gear Ray. This is like, I don't know, this is like the size of a house, I would say.
Like a gecko?
Yeah.
Okay, that's fair. That makes sense.
Yeah. This is not your big huge Metal Gear.
Yeah.
Final boss Metal Gear. This is like baby Metal Gear.
Yeah.
But it's not a Metal Gear. It does take Chico though. I'm just saying that it's not a Metal Gear.
Yeah.
It's just a robot.
It's funny though, because I always like, especially with like the prequels, I guess. But I like forget that these are somewhat like science fiction, but not. But you know what I mean with the robots, because you know we're talking about Sandinistas in Costa Rica, and and then a giant robot flies through the sky.
Yeah,
I'm like,
It's a lot more
That's where we're
jarring
at.
in the prequels because
it's the 70s, and it's like, but I mean that's the world that we're in.
I'll give that to you. That is like a continuity issue with these next two games. Is the technology in these games is definitely more advanced than it was in the 90s.
Yeah. Well, you're saying in that the games take place in, or are you just saying in general?
No, in the games.
Yeah, okay.
Like,
because I don't have a problem with it being more advanced than obviously our 70s. But yeah, if it's more advanced than
this flying robot,
game's 90s.
This flying robot is a giant flying robot.
Yeah. Yeah, this
and
flying
it
robot
stole a
is a
child.
flying robot.
And then in Metal Gear 1, the Metal Gear TX-55
Yeah.
is it's just kind of a thing that walks.
Yeah, and has a nuke.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's definitely a little bit more I don't know. It's theatrics,
Yeah.
so it's
Yeah.
fine.
I get it.
But like I said, Amanda, she breaks her leg in this process, and she begs Snake to save her brother, and she's like, "Please save him. Obviously, I'm injured. I can't." And Snake's like, "Okay, I'll do you know where he could have been?" And she tells Snake of a prison area up in the mountains where, where they've seen all of the like people coming and going from.
Mm. So this might be a clue where the other girl is,
Yes.
potentially.
Yes. She also mentions that when Chico and her would get into fights, he would always go out and explore on his own. So if he does find Chico, then Chico can give him a better lay of the land.
So
You know,
okay. So he sounds like he's a little explorer, man. He wants
he
to know the
he is
world.
he is. The game paints him out as someone who like regularly just like traverses areas of Costa Rica.
Nice.
Rica.
Rico. Honestly, Rico and Rika, they're all the same.
I wouldn't say that. I feel like we can't say that.
Brazilo.
Brazil, dude. It's gonna be stuck in my head now.
I'm calling that flying eagle Brazil.
Okay, you can call it Brazil.
Yeah.
But Snake, he tells her that he will go rescue Chico. And he also tells her that if that's where that big flying robot went, um, that he thinks there's nukes up there. So, like, he's like, you and the Sandinistas need to get out of here, essentially.
Yeah. Well, how far away is it?
Well, it's not super far away. It's
Okay.
probably a couple miles.
Well, so that's probably the best place for them to be.
With, like, in the couple mile radius of the big nuke hangar.
Yeah, because they're not going to drop a nuke on themselves.
Well, I don't know. Basically, what Snake is doing is recruiting them into MSF.
I see.
He basically gets Amanda and some of the Sandinistas to go back to MSF and hang out with Kaz.
Yeah. It is funny though that like Snake has like all these people, but like he's the only one doing this mission.
Yeah, no, this is still pretty much a solo mission.
Yeah.
He makes his way to the prison area where Chico is supposed to be at, and he does find Chico there. Chico's like in a shed tied up. He's not like deep in the prison.
Chico's in a
camp.
shed tied up.
Yeah, he's just in a shed tied up. And Snake gets in there. He basically unties Chico and he asks him if he knows anything about the cargo that is being brought into Costa Rica. Chico tells him that he's seen stuff loaded onto trains and then it disappears into a tunnel at the back of this camp. He says he doesn't know anything else about it. And then Chico basically starts whining and complaining about, he's like, all of the Sandinistas, they treat me like a kid. He's like, I'm 12 years old. I'm not a kid anymore. He is 12.
My sister.
It's not 13. He's 12.
I should be the leader.
Essentially, he's like, he doesn't want the position from Amanda. He just wants to be treated like an adult.
Yeah.
And he's like, Amanda just views me as her little brother and not a soldier.
Mm-hmm. He's getting a little too big for his britches.
He's 12, by the way.
Yeah.
Snake, he offers him to come back to Amanda and at MSF. And
Snake offers him a job.
Chico starts
Join my army.
Hold on. Chico breaks down crying.
And
Snake rightfully assumes that Chico gave up intel on where the rest of Amanda's forces are.
Oh, wow.
Essentially, they tortured Chico and got intel out of him.
Yeah, that's sad.
Chico yells out that he wishes he was dead. So Snake pulls out a gun and points it at Chico.
Okay.
And he says, okay, I'll push you out of your misery. And Snake fires a bullet into the wall behind Chico.
Yeah.
He didn't shoot Chico, dude.
No, he just gave him a little bit of a fear factor there.
Yeah, but then Snake says, I just wasted a bullet. Don't waste your life, kid. Listen to me, Chico. You died here today. Do you understand? You're a new man. Now give that new life to me.
Ooh.
Fight with me, little soldier. Show me how strong you really are.
Wow. So does this mean that, like, Chico is about to be as big as his britches?
I mean, it kind of sounds like Chico's gonna become a child soldier.
Wow. Snake's a good guy.
And Snake just recruited him.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say Snake has done anything necessarily evil yet because he's not like forcing Chico to go out and fight. However, he did just recruit a child into his army.
Yeah, that's probably not a good idea.
We're like at this point in his life, we haven't seen signs of him be like evil yet, but now he's doing questionable things.
Yeah, I wouldn't say evil, but he's probably
It's
doing.
questionable.
Yeah, yeah, that's the word I
Yeah,
would use as
good.
well.
But basically, Chico, he calls Snake boss. He's like, yes, boss. And then Snake sends him back to Mother Base via Fulton. Nevertheless, Snake, he heads out. He checks on the lead that Chico gave him, and once Snake arrives, he does find like two trucks with nuclear cargo driving into the entrance of the mountain base, like through the tunnel that Chico said. So Chico was right. And when he gets there, he's ambushed by a tank and some guards. Boss battle ensues.
Oh, nice.
I will say that's my biggest gripe about this game is that the bosses in this game suck.
A tank and some guards.
A tank and some guards. Unfortunately, I'm not going to mention every boss battle like I have in the last games because there are multiple occasions of Snake v Tank being a
Yeah.
boss battle.
Yeah.
And it's just boring. It's like that was the most lackluster boss battle ensues I've ever said.
Yeah, it was.
Now, don't worry. We will get some actual proper boss fights, but the majority of the boss fights in this game are just like against heavy infantry.
I see. Okay.
Yeah.
Makes
so,
sense why you wouldn't want to just keep
Yeah.
mentioning it.
but I am putting that out there. So there are boss fights that I'm not going to mention that just it's like a helicopter.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's fine. One Snake, he like during the battle that with this tank, the tank like shoots the entrance of the mountain base and it like crumbles so Snake can't get through. And once Snake beats the tank and these guards, he calls Kaz and he's like, how do I get in? Because the entrance just got blocked off. Chico comes into the call and he says that there is a bridge that crosses over a ravine that is nearby and it should lead him to the mountain base. It's like the back way in. Snake continues on until he makes it to the base, and after he sneaks in, he finds a room full of trucks that they all look like the one that were carrying the nukes that he saw before he fought the tank. He starts searching through all of the trucks, and in one of them he finds Mr. Kojima.
Whoa.
Yeah.
The creator of Metal Gear?
Yeah, dude. Hideo Kojima's in this game.
Damn. What's this dude doing here?
Yeah, he's chilling in one of the back of the trucks.
Oh, okay. He's not captured?
No, he's just back there.
Nice.
It's literally like Snake opens the truck and Hideo Kojima, he just waves. He throws his hand up and waves.
Okay.
And then Snake goes, Mr. Kojima.
Wow. And then the interaction's over?
Well, Snake Fulton's back to Mother Base. And he joins your ranks.
Nice.
Yeah, so Hideo Kojima's on staff at Mother Base.
That's cool. I like that. That's a fun little cameo.
It's a fun little cameo, yeah. But Snake, he continues looking through the rest of the trucks. And he can't find the nukes that he saw come in, so they've probably already been offloaded. Snake decides that he needs to search the rest of the facility, and he runs through until he comes to a room where he overhears two people arguing. One of them is a man in a wheelchair, and this man in a wheelchair says that he thought it would be used as a deterrent, and he's upset at how this is playing out. The other man that Snake overhears is a bald man, and he is saying that it is a deterrent, but for true deterrence, we must show our strength first. The wheelchair-bound man yells back that deterrence is supposed to stop nuclear warfare, and the bald man doesn't let up. He says, if nobody believes that we can use a nuke, then deterrence is useless. He says that we need to prove we can launch a nuke, and it will be the last nuke that's ever launched. The wheelchair-bound man says he won't let him use his creation like that, and then the bald man says that unless we launch a nuke, Peace Walker is useless as a deterrent, and he pushes the wheelchair-bound man down a flight of stairs. Snake rushes over to help the guy in the wheelchair, and the guy in the wheelchair basically yells at Snake. He's like, you gotta go stop him. He's gonna use a nuke. So Snake rushes after the bald man when he comes into a room, and that big giant flying robot from earlier
Brazil.
Brazil flies overhead carrying a bigger robot. Like Snake runs up these stairs and like goes through a door, and now we're in a big open like arena looking area at the top of the mountain.
Okay.
And Brazil flies over carrying a bigger robot.
And the bald man is about to press the big red button.
Well, the bald man's voice comes over the speaker and he yells out that the robots need to stop Snake. The pupa, which is the robot that is being carried, then drops in and boss battle ensues.
Okay.
The pupa looks just like the Shagohod.
Gotcha.
It's
So
essentially a giant tank that Snake has
wait,
to
where
fight.
is the bald man? Is he just not there anymore?
Well, we saw him. He like ran into a separate room,
Oh,
and
okay.
then this thing drops in and Snake fights it.
It was just a funny visual. And
A bald man pushing a man in a wheelchair down the
that,
stairs.
like that's not funny in itself. It's just the
Well,
context of the conversation is like, don't use the nuke. I will use the nuke. And then he's just like, get out of here. And he just pushes the the man in the wheelchair.
yeah, the
down
man in the wheelchair
stairs.
peed himself too. Like when he fell down the stairs, he peed himself.
Don't tell me his name's Johnny Sasaki.
It's not, no, Johnny poops himself. Johnny poops
Okay.
himself. He doesn't pee himself.
Oh, you're right. That's Otacon.
Otacon pees himself.
Yeah.
And Emma Emmerich peed herself.
Yeah. Ah, so it's their family. Is this an Emmerich?
I mean, one might assume. But the man in the wheelchair starts talking over the speakers, and he tells Snake how to defeat the pupa. Basically, after the boss battle, it's nothing. None of the boss battles in this game are cool and unique like the ones in MGS3 or MGS4 or MGS2 or MGS1. You know, like they're just like shoot the thing and kill it.
Yeah.
So I'm not gonna like really mention mechanics and shit that much because
Mhm.
it's literally just beat the thing by shooting it.
Yeah.
However, I will say that once it's defeated, Snake has to crawl into the AI pod that is on top of it. So each of these big robots have like a pod, like what is called an AI pod that are on top of it that essentially pilot the thing.
Gotcha.
So none of them are humanly manned. They're all controlled by AI.
Okay.
And Snake gets into this AI pod. The AI pod's huge, like bigger than us. Like, probably like 10 feet tall.
Mm-hmm.
Snake climbs into it and he pulls out what are called memory boards from inside. They're essentially, it's kind of hard to describe. It's not super plot important, but it will be at the end of the game. Just keep in mind that Snake is pulling out all of the memory boards from these AI pods because the guy in the wheelchair said he should.
Okay.
The guy in the wheelchair said, hey, pull out these memory boards.
Yeah.
I can use them for something later. And Snake
Okay.
does.
And also, the guy in the wheelchair fell down a flight of stairs, saw this random dude, was like, "Go stop the bald man," and then Snake's doing it.
Yeah. We're about to. I keep saying the guy in the wheelchair and the bald man, but we're literally about to learn who both them are. The game
Okay.
just hasn't named them yet. It's just kind of this, like, Snake
Yeah.
walks in on this happening, so I figured I'd tell you their names when the game says their names.
That makes sense.
But the guy in the wheelchair, he rolls in from, like, a door on the side, and he introduces himself as Huey Emmerich.
Yeah, he looks like Otacon.
Yeah, he looks exactly like Otacon, but in a wheelchair.
Yep.
He says that all of the robots that Snake has been seeing are his design. The one he just destroyed is called the Pupa. And then there is the Chrysalis, which is what you're calling Brazil. Brazil's actual name is Chrysalis.
Got it.
And there is a bigger tank that we haven't seen yet called the Cocoon.
So this guy is trying to say that he doesn't want his creations to be used.
We've heard that a lot of information.
No, I'm
Oh.
saying he doesn't. So he's saying he doesn't want. Now, obviously, he was talking about Peace Walker, which is the nuke. I'm assuming he doesn't want that to be fired.
Yeah, so what we heard is that they were talking about something called Peace Walker and that it was supposed to be used as a nuclear deterrent.
Yeah.
But then the bald guy was like,
Yeah. No,
okay.
I remember that. Okay. Remember, I had a thought, but I'll wait to say it because I'll wait till I hear more information.
Okay, cool. Well, Huey, He tells us that the bald man he was arguing with, his name is Justin. I'm gonna need you to bear with me on this one, okay?
I'm bearing.
His name is Hot Coldman.
Oh, that's a good name.
His name's Hot Coldman.
Hot Coldman.
Hot Coldman.
I'm calling him the bald man.
The bald man?
Yes.
It's honestly the bald man's a better name.
Yeah, it is.
But yeah, this is the character who, like, pretty much everyone agrees has a stupid name.
It is pretty terrible.
Yeah, his
Yeah.
name's Hot Coldman.
At the same time, it's very Metal Gear.
Yeah.
So.
You know, it's fine. But basically, Huey tells us that Coldman is the CIA's station chief for Central America. He then tells us all about the Peace Walker project. He explains that Peace Walker is a walking bipedal tank capable of firing nukes across the globe.
Metal Gear.
A Metal Gear. He doesn't call it a Metal Gear, though, because remember, at this point, the words Metal Gear have never been used.
Yeah.
So Snake asked how he came up with that idea, and Huey says that he got the design from a scientist in Russia. And Snake remembers Grannon from MGS3. Do you remember Grannon? Remember the guy who was crocked, who said he was going to send plans for his Metal Gear over to an American scientist friend?
Wasn't that on the tanker? No, sorry.
No,
sorry,
3,
sorry,
MGS3.
Yeah. I don't remember at all.
Really?
I don't think.
No, remember it was like the guy that Snake comes across and he's wasted, and Snake's like, "Oh, you're crocked."
Oh yeah, this was on the
During the Snake Eater incident.
Yes. During the first bit.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And Grannon basically was like, "Yeah, they don't want to fund me, so I'm going to send my blueprints for Metal Gear over to my friend in the US."
Yes.
Huey Emmerich was that friend.
Okay.
Yeah, so Huey got the designs from Grannon, and Snake says, "Metal Gear," which this canonically is the first time that Metal Gear has ever been named Metal Gear.
Okay.
Because the Shagohod was never referred to as a Metal Gear.
So he just chose that name in this moment.
No, because, you know, Grannon in MGS3 was like, it's some kind of, like Metal Gear.
Oh, okay. So
But this is the first time a
he's
character.
repeating that because he realizes the
Yes.
connection.
Yeah, he's like, "Oh, Metal Gear."
Gotcha.
But this is the first time that a character's ever been like, "Yeah, that's a Metal Gear."
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Okay. Huey then explains that Peace Walker is an unmanned weapon controlled by a core AI called the Mammal Pod. Peace Walker was designed so that if a nuke was ever fired at the US, that Peace Walker would strike back without human permission needed.
Got it. Okay.
He then talks about nuclear deterrence and kind of talks about like the theory of nuclear deterrence, you know.
Okay, see, this makes more sense. The thought I had earlier, this is filling in the gaps.
Yeah. He basically he's like the theory of nuclear deterrence, he's like there's one flaw, and the uncertain element of no matter the situation is human decision. So in his words, he says, if country A attacked country B, a human would have to make the call to retaliate. However, on a nuclear scale, the choice is not simple. You know what I mean? Because it means you're wiping out a population of people.
Yeah.
Huey says that Peace Walker takes away the choice and attacks back no matter the circumstances. So launching a nuclear strike against Peace Walker or Peace Walker's country is essentially the same thing as pushing the button to attack yourself.
Okay. So Peace Walker doesn't fire something to blow
Peace
the
Walker,
nuke up before it arrives. It just fires a nuke back.
It fires a nuke back.
Oh.
Yeah.
Interesting. Okay.
Therefore, being a perfect deterrent, in Huey's words. However, Huey says that Coldman wants to launch a nuke to prove that if another country attacks us, that Peace Walker will act on its own. So Coldman's basically like, yeah, we got to prove that this thing works. We can't just say it works. And Huey's like, no, that's stupid. This whole thing is meant to make nukes not be launched. And Coldman's like, no, we got to launch a nuke to make people know that Peace Walker will launch a nuke back.
He wants to launch a nuke on America?
We don't know where he wants to launch a nuke yet. He just keeps saying he wants to launch a nuke.
Okay.
Doesn't
he work for the CIA?
He does work for the CIA. Yes. We will get more of his he does have somewhere he wants to launch it, and he does have kind of a motivation behind it.
But it would have to be the place that Peace Walker is.
Yes.
So in Peace Walker is currently?
No, not really. It wouldn't have to be where Peace Walker is. It would have to be somewhere that Peace Walker is like programmed to be protective of.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So, say if Peace Walker was in like North Carolina and Colorado got attacked, Peace Walker would immediately send one back.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, it makes sense. So we would assume that people know what Peace Walker is protecting, right? Otherwise, what's the point of Peace Walker? Right?
Well, yeah.
Like, don't they know?
Yeah, because
Do we know?
essentially, well, we don't know what the Peace Walker is right now, but I guess I can tell you this now because it's not like some super huge revelation. Actually, Huey, I think he says it in this conversation, so it's actually a good timing that you brought that up. But Coldman needs more Peace Walkers. The whole reason he wants to like show that Peace Walker works is he wants more funding from the CIA so he can mass produce Peace Walkers and basically line America with them.
Okay. Just because of the size of America, I guess. Like he
Yeah.
wants a bunch.
So basically, Peace Walker is not. Okay, hold on. I think I'm brain farting. Repeat your question.
I was just wondering what is Peace Walker protecting? Which country?
Currently, right now, Peace Walker doesn't have any actual like affiliations. Like Peace Walker is just Coldman's project.
Well, because I'm asking that because like where does Coldman want to launch the nuke to show Peace Walker exists? Or is that what you're about to reveal? Okay.
Well, I mean, not at this exact minute, but like
Oh,
he
okay.
does have a place that he wants to launch it.
Okay.
Yes. So basically, I think I can try to make this a little bit easier to understand. Peace Walker right now is not tied to a specific country. So it's whatever data that they input into Peace Walker because it is controlled by an AI. So if Coldman says protect Russia and then shoots a nuke at Russia, Peace Walker will fire back at whatever fired the nuke. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Okay.
So it doesn't actually have to be real.
So
basically,
he's just
Peace
throwing
Walker.
out the idea.
Yes.
And then that's that for now.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
It's a pretty dumb idea.
Oh, Coldman's idea?
Well,
or Peace Walker in general?
I guess Coleman's idea isn't dumb from his point of view. If I guess you can just program Peace Walker for any country, then I guess, yeah.
It's pretty dumb, respectfully. I agree with you. Coldman is not a smart character.
Well, Peace Walker is also just kind of a weird concept, especially if you're going to mass produce Peace Walkers.
Well, it's super bizarre and it's really like out there and over the top, but the actual concept behind Peace Walker is pretty interesting, I think.
It is interesting, except like if your agenda is to make Peace Walkers that automatically fire back, then it's like, well, that's the decision you would make if Peace Walker didn't exist. Probably.
Not necessarily, because what if someone else is in power?
Yeah, well, the Peace Walker would be then theirs to shut down, wouldn't it?
I mean, I guess. But it's kind of like Peace Walker is like a status symbol of like
at the same time, the Peace Walker is interesting because without having a situation, because if the situation were to happen where a nuke was fired, you'd probably be in a weird, you'd probably be in a mental state of like, what do we do?
They actually,
it takes away the decision.
I'm remembering now. They do actually have an exact, they give an example. I think it was during the Cuban Missile Crisis. This happened in real life, I think. But there was like fake nukes that got launched towards like a Russian submarine or something. And basically the commander on board of the Russian submarine was like, we're not going to retaliate. And basically ordered them not to nuke anything or fire any missiles or anything.
Mm-hmm.
And then since they were fake, that guy was applauded as a hero. But Coldman's perspective is, what if it wasn't a fake? You know? Yeah. It's like humans, since all humans are different, some people have the balls to pull the trigger and some people don't. So Peace Walker takes away the decision.
Okay.
You're giving me the eyes.
No, I'm just... Right, but that's because he would make the decision to fire back.
Coldman's not in that power to actually make that decision. Coldman's just the CIA's affiliate for Central America. He's not actually like the guy who would be pressing a button to fire a nuke.
Right, because Peace Walker would.
Well, no. Even if Peace Walker didn't exist, and Coldman is not that high up in the government.
Yeah. Okay.
He's just the CIA's chief station of Central America.
Okay.
So he's basically just running bases out of Central America.
He's just talking out of his ass.
Yeah, he's essentially, what's that word? Overcompensating.
Okay.
He is not, because like we will get more with like actual nukes being fired later in the game. So we'll just pause this conversation and
Yeah.
then you'll see it play out a little bit
That makes
later.
sense with more information to
Yeah.
talk about. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Huey basically tells Snake in this moment, he's like, there's still an upside though, because the mammal pod, which is what will control Peace Walker, isn't finished yet. It's being worked on by a Dr. Strangelove, and her research lab is a couple miles up north. So if you can get there and destroy the mammal pod before it's finished, then Coldman can't do anything. Huey then asks Snake that if he's going to see Strangelove, if he could deliver a letter to her, because, he's kind of got a crush on her.
Huey does?
Huey has a crush on Dr. Strangelove.
These damn Emmerichs.
And then he asks Snake not to read it. Snake then asks Huey what he's going to do now, and Huey says, I'm done with science. I'm probably halfway to hell anyway. And Snake looks at him, and he gives him a little smirk. And he says, instead of hell, would you rather go to an outer heaven of sorts? And Huey joins MSF.
Nice.
Yeah, dude. Isn't that fun, though? This is like the first time that outer heaven has actually been used.
Yeah.
So MSF, it's not the outer heaven, but like it's essentially outer heaven.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
That's kind of what I was saying earlier. Is that that's what it felt like?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's not the outer heaven,
Yeah,
but it's like the precursor.
Got you.
After Huey's extracted and taken back to MSF, Snake heads out to find Dr. Strangelove's lab. On his way there, he stumbles across a French girl who is barely conscious laying against a tree.
Is it the friend?
Her name is Cecile Cosima Caminades.
Does that mean peace?
I don't think so, actually.
Okay.
But we learned that this is Paz's friend who went missing while bird watching.
Yeah.
So good call on that one. The girl who recorded the tape with the boss's voice on it, and apparently after she was captured, she was held in prison by Strangelove, but she managed to escape on her own. Snake calls Kaz and requests a Fulton recovery for her, then he continues on. So she gets taken back to MSF. Once Snake gets to Strangelove's lab, he gets a call from Kaz, and Kaz says that Cecile just arrived, and he played the tape for her. She basically was like, yeah, that is the same one that I made. But then Cecile says that she's never met Paz, and she doesn't know who she is. So you remember Paz was like, yeah, my friend went missing with me?
Yeah, well, I remember. I remember.
But Cecile doesn't know who Paz is.
So I was saying, I was like, it's sad if she's telling the truth.
If she's telling the truth. I think I just said tooth.
You did.
If she's telling the truth.
She said the truth.
If she's telling truth.
Tell the truth.
Hold the door.
Hold the door.
Hold the door. Hold the door. Brazil. Brazil. Bro, I'm never getting it out of my head now. God damn you. After we learn that Cecile is not Oz's friend, Snake makes his way into Strangelove's lab. And he sees that the boss's horse is here. Remember the boss's...
The white stallion?
The white stallion?
Yeah.
Her horse is in this lab.
Mm.
Yeah, it's interesting, right?
It's an interesting place for a horse.
Yeah. But he then hears the boss's voice say, looks like death wasn't ready for you yet. And Snake calls out, he's like, boss! When he sees Dr. Strangelove standing like a couple feet away from him, and she looks at him, she's like, I hate you. She just straight up tells Snake, she's like, I despise you.
Okay.
And Snake's like, I don't even know who you are. And Strangelove, she says, I know what you did 10 years ago. And she's like, are you going to kill me too? Like you killed the boss? She then proceeds to chastise Snake and say that she knows everything about how he killed the boss and their mission, and that he's a vile and evil piece of shit for killing a true hero like the boss. She asks Snake why he did it, and Snake recites the lie that was peddled by the U.S. That the boss defected and shit. So it's like, it almost feels like Snake's trying to convince himself that it was the truth. That way he doesn't have to feel the guilt of killing an innocent woman. I mean, innocent in a word. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But this Dr. Strangelove shows up and just starts immediately chastising Snake.
Okay.
And she's like, "You killed the boss. Why did you do it? I hate you. She was a hero." And Snake, when she asks, is like, "Yeah, no, she was a traitor. She defected and everything." Like, recites the lie
Oh,
instead of telling the truth.
okay.
Okay, so that makes sense.
Yeah.
You got a face.
No, I don't know. I'm just wondering why he's not telling the truth.
Well, like I said, it's almost like Snake is trying to convince himself that the lie is the truth.
But the truth is better than the lie.
I mean, the truth is that Snake killed his mother figure for absolutely no reason.
But it was what she wanted.
It wasn't what she wanted, it was her mission.
Right.
Yeah.
It's what she went through with, and then he obviously didn't want to do it either, but I feel like in the end, did he still think she was a traitor when he killed her?
No. I mean, after like the whole ending of the game, he knows the truth.
So he's almost telling her this lie so that she doesn't think he did it with knowing that she was innocent.
Yeah,
Okay.
kind of.
Okay.
But I also think part of it is that Snake is trying to convince himself that the boss was a traitor.
Oh.
This is also 10 years later.
Okay.
So it's like the events of Snake Eater have been 10 years in the past.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
I think that if Snake can convince himself that the boss was a traitor, then he feels more justified in his actions of killing her.
Okay.
Does that not make sense?
No, it makes sense. It's just interesting that he's doing that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, it's kind of like he feels guilt.
Yeah.
He feels guilt over killing her.
Yeah.
And it's like, if she was a traitor, then I killed her for like a good reason,
Okay.
versus not for literally no reason at all.
Right.
So I think he's trying to, that's how it reads to me, but the game never says that. So,
Yeah.
Basically after he recites the lie, Strangelove calls BS. She's like, that's not what happened. Um, Snake, he's like, okay, who are you? What are you going on about the boss for? And like, what the fuck? You just showed up and started telling me that I don't know what I'm talking about. So like, who even are you? Why do you care about the boss? And Strangelove says that she worked with the boss before the mission of Snake Eater, and she was in love with her.
Oh.
So Strangelove loved the boss, like
Okay.
romantically loved, not
Yeah.
like a motherly figure.
Yeah.
But basically, Strangelove's like, I love the boss, and I'm not going to rest until I get my answers of why she truly died. She kind of drops her snark, because she's being real snarky in this conversation. But she kind of drops it, and she's like getting real with Snake for a second. She's like, you killed her, but I gave her life.
Mm.
And then Strangelove introduces Snake to the mammal pod, which is the thing Huey said that will be controlling Peace Walker.
Yeah.
As Snake walks in, the mammal pod starts talking, and it sounds exactly like the boss. Snake is like absolutely enamored by this, and Strangelove explains that the mammal pod is the brain that will be put into Peace Walker, and that she has used this opportunity to recreate the boss's consciousness within it. Because she was able to convince people because like the boss had like great critical thinking skills and the ability to make swift judgments when necessary for shit. So she was basically able to convince the higher ups to give her all of like the data that she could get on the boss, and she's used it to reprogram the boss's consciousness into this AI. Does that make sense?
Yeah. What is the benefit of that?
Well, basically, she is hoping from this that she can learn why the boss truly defected and why everything happened the way that it did. She wants to know the truth. So she did say to Snake that I know what happened, but she doesn't actually know.
Okay.
She doesn't know that the boss wasn't actually a traitor. Like she thinks the boss wasn't a traitor, but she doesn't know why the boss actually quote unquote defected.
Gotcha. So she's putting the data she's gathered into this mammal pod, and then
Yes.
she wants to talk to it.
Yeah, essentially.
Okay.
She's trying to use this opportunity because she's an AI scientist. So she's
Okay.
basically seizing the opportunity to recreate the boss's consciousness in order to like see if she can figure out why the boss did what she did.
Gotcha.
And
So
like
she's
figure
like
out
creating a simulation to explore to see the possibilities
Yes.
that can come from that.
Now, I'm not saying that that would work, but that's what she's trying to do,
Yeah. So this mammal pod is like a brain,
essentially, and it has the
and
boss's
it's
voice.
gonna eventually be on the Peace Walker.
Yes, it's the brain that will control Peace Walker, and it sounds like the boss.
Okay.
That's the voice that we heard over the recording, by
That's
the
what
way.
I figured.
Yeah, so it's not the actual boss. The boss is dead.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
Obviously.
We haven't gotten to zombies yet.
Okay.
What? But anyways, after Strangelove basically explains why she's doing this to Snake, um, the AI pod, it starts calling out to him. It starts calling his name. It's just like it calls him Jack too, but I think that's just okay. So I'm like a little conflicted because I have always been under the assumption that Big Boss's name was John,
Okay.
but the boss calls him Jack. And when he says John at the end of MGS3, when he says that's my name, some people have said that he was lying to Ocelot.
Oh.
So I'm confused onto what Big Boss's real name is, but I like the name John better.
So it's not addressed?
I mean,
It's like supposed to be like a
I think it's supposed to be, I don't know, because like Ocelot calls him John, the boss calls him Jack.
I see.
So I don't know. Maybe it's like he is clearly someone has it wrong.
Yeah.
And I just don't know which one has it wrong. But I'm gonna refer to him as John. Like I'm headcanoning his name as John because Raiden's name is Jack.
Mm.
And if two of our main protagonists have the same exact name, that pisses me off. So I'm calling him John.
Fair.
But basically the AI pod it starts calling out. It's like Jack, Jack, and then Big Ball starts freaking out. Like I'm talking like bro is hyperventilating. And he starts walking closer to it frantically. He starts calling out like boss, boss, as he's like trying to like get the attention of the pod. Kind of I think he's like going into an episode. Like he's basically like mentally collapsing by hearing her voice talk to him like in person.
Yeah.
Strangelove then looks at him and says, "Complete your mission, Snake. Extinguish the boss once again, if you can." And then as Snake gets directly next to the pod, like the AI pod, it closes around him, like it kind of shutters over top of him, and he's trapped inside this AI pod. So that's like the thing is like, can Snake kill the boss again, even though it's not really the boss?
Right.
It's like the question.
Yeah.
He starts like yelling, and he's like, no, I don't want to do this again. And then he kind of like finds his resolve pretty quickly, and he's like, okay, I just got to do it. I got to do it. So he starts pulling out the memory boards that are inside this AI pod.
Okay. Okay. I was about to say.
Yeah, he finds his resolve, but he's very, very conflicted because it's like he's basically reliving the trauma of killing the boss.
Yeah.
We hear Strangelove. Her voice yells out. And then the screen flashes white, and Snake passes out.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Inside the mother.
Inside the AI pod, mammal pod.
Oh yeah, right.
But yeah. Basically, Snake, like there was gas that like kind of seeps in, and Snake passes out from the gas.
Okay.
But yeah, Strangelove yells out because she didn't think he was gonna do it, and then he starts doing it, and then our screen flashes white, and we pass out.
Okay. I'm glad he found his resolve.
Yeah, it's conflicted, but he's still at the end of the day like, no, I know the mission, I got to do it. You know.
Yeah.
But when Snake wakes up, we see a helicopter flying overhead with the mammal pod hanging from its underside. And then the chrysalis flies in, and boss battle ensues. A chrysalis is the Brazil. Yeah.
Got it.
Brazil.
The
yeah.
Flying Eagle.
Once Snake has defeated the chrysalis, he pulls out the memory boards from its AI pod, and he calls Kaz. They talk for a while, and Kaz basically he's like, "Hey, are you sure you can do this, man? Because you were seeming pretty like wavery back there." And Snake's like, "Oh, I have to," and basically like telling Kaz like, "Yeah, I'm gonna do it, even though I'm living my trauma over again." Snake hops on the boss's white horse, and he rides towards the testing site for Peace Walker. Basically, I don't remember how they got that information, but Kaz got that information somehow.
Okay.
So I don't remember how. I can't answer that.
So the mother or the
mammal pod.
pod's like gone now?
Yeah, so when Snake woke up, we assumed Strangelove was on the helicopter that was taking away the mammal
And he's
pod.
like looking up at it or
Yeah.
something. Okay.
Um,
So now he's going to the test site to find
to
it.
where Peace Walker would be, assumedly also the mammal
Yeah.
pod, because that's what's going to control Peace Walker.
Gotcha.
Peace Walker's test site is 15 miles north. And on his way there, Snake comes across the cocoon, which is, the bigger tank. Boss battle ensues, and Snake rips the memory boards from its AI pod. See what I mean by these boss battles? They're kind of lame.
Yeah.
They're not super cool. I mean, they're literally just mechs.
Yeah.
They're not even like cool mechs, like they look fine, but it's just whatever.
Basic.
Yeah. But after Snake defeats the cocoon, he gets to Peace Walker's test site, and he infiltrates and overhears Strangelove and Coldman. They're talking, and Strangelove tells everyone to take a break, that they've been working for a while. Everyone go take 5. Snake sees his chance, and he heads up to destroy the mammal pod. Like, basically, he runs up to where the mammal pod is, and once up close, the pod starts talking to Snake again. And it's like really weird. It's like asking how he's doing. Like, it's almost talking to him like a human would talk to you.
Okay.
It's still very robotic, it's definitely not an actual conscious person, but it's like it's freaking Snake out.
Yeah.
And it's like how are you doing, Jack? Have you come to destroy me? And Snake, he basically says, boss. And this time the pod responds to him saying boss. And that makes him, like, he says boss, and the Snake goes, what is it, Jack? And basically Snake's like, oh fuck. And it makes him think for a second. And he's like, did you have any regrets about your final mission? And the pod's like, I don't know what you're talking about. And Snake starts pleading, like he's like borderline in tears. And he's like, please, why did you do what you did? Like, do you have any regrets? Did you do it of your own free will? Were you being forced to do it by someone else? Like,
didn't she already tell him this before?
I mean, not really.
Okay. Like he's asking her about the end of 3, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because, I mean, from what we know is that her mission to America was to fake defect, and Snake's mission was to kill her.
Yeah.
Yes. And basically, Snake is asking, did you do the mission of your own accord? Like,
To fake defect?
yeah. Like, were you being forced into it by the American government? Were you doing it because you were loyal to your country?
Or because it was like an or else situation.
Yes, or else situation. Like, do
asking
you
to
have
set
any
up.
regrets about your final mission? Why? Like, I have to know more.
Okay.
Because, I mean, we've talked about it a lot, but in the world, Snake has only ever heard Eva say this.
Okay.
This is not common knowledge. This is very top secret information that only Snake and Eva, the CIA director and the president of the United States, know.
Yeah.
So he's like, why? Please tell me. And basically, like, on the edge of tears, like he's breaking down in this pod, trying to get it to talk to him. And the pod just keeps saying, I have no recollection of that mission. I have no information on that mission. And Snake's like, you're not the boss. And he goes to shoot it when, as soon as he makes the choice, the door opens and Coldman tells Snake to drop his weapon. It's like it's because he basically took too long trying to get an answer out of it,
Yeah.
So if he just did it right away, but he broke again and basically was trying to figure out answers that aren't going to be answered.
I see. And now Bald Man is threatening him.
Yeah. And then Coldman shows up and he basically tells him to drop his weapon. And then he gives us a monologue about some lengthy, like, oh, peace, there's no peace, deterrence, I'm Coldman situation.
Okay.
And then Strangelove, she tells Coldman, she's like, hey, don't kill him. I can get more info on the boss out of him. So give him to me. And Coldman's men attack Snake. Snake fights back, but I mean, at the end of the day, he's knocked out and captured. When Snake wakes up, he is hanging in like some sort of basement by his hands, kind of like he was in MGS3. You remember the torture sequence?
Yes.
He's hanging like that, and Strangelove is standing in front of him with 2 electric batons.
Okay.
She questions him on the boss and her motives, and she wants to know why the boss did what she did. Snake responds that she betrayed her country and him too, reciting the lie. And Strangelove asks why Snake still wears her bandana, if that's the case. And Snake just doesn't answer. He just stops talking. So I think this kind of goes to show that what you were saying, where maybe Snake is lying to her so she can't get more information out of him. Because Strangelove wants this information so she can put it into the mammal pod.
Okay. But what's the repercussions of that?
Well, I mean, Snake just doesn't want her to finish the mammal pod.
Oh, like she needs that to like activate it?
I mean, Strangelove is saying that she needs more data on the boss to finish the mammal pod. I'm not saying that's actually what would finish the mammal pod.
Okay. And it has to be the truth.
Yeah, essentially.
Okay.
And Snake is not telling her. So I think what you were saying is probably right. Like Snake is lying to her.
I didn't realize that she needs the truth to make the AI work.
She is saying Strangelove's whole thing is that she wants all the data so she can put it into the mammal pod to basically make another version of the boss's consciousness.
Okay.
And Snake is kind of, I think, seeing that as an abomination. I mean, I feel like his line of "you're not the boss" when he was talking to the AI pod.
Yeah.
I think that's like almost blasphemy to him.
Okay.
So it's like he's holding this information that way she can't finish the boss artificial consciousness.
Yeah. That makes sense.
Okay. But she keeps questioning him and, shocking him when he doesn't give their answers. And I will say this is the hardest torture sequence in the whole series. This one hurts my hands to this day.
Oh, the vibrations?
No, because you have to tap the button
to
survive the torture.
Yeah.
It is fucking brutal.
Okay.
But yeah. After she basically gives up, he's put back into a jail cell. And when he wakes, he falls, passes out, right? And he wakes up. Remember that S-shaped scar I said he had on his chest?
Yep.
Well, apparently it's not real. He had a wire jigsaw put onto his chest and then basically a scar grafted over it.
He has a wire jigsaw on his chest?
Like one of those wire cutters that can cut through metal.
A wire jigsaw?
Yeah. It's like a barbed wire that you hold one end and you hold the other end and you move it back and forth and it will cut through things.
Okay. Well, I know a jigsaw, but it's like a wire?
Yeah, it's a wire one of those.
Oh.
I mean, it's a thing. You can look it up if you want.
No, I get what you're saying.
Think like a garrote wire.
No, I'm just like, he has it on his chest?
It's hidden inside of the scar. The S-shaped scar.
So it's like underneath his skin.
The S-shaped scar on his chest was fake.
Okay.
It's basically fake skin grafted over this wire cutter.
Okay.
On his chest.
Okay.
Yeah, so the scar wasn't real.
Gotcha.
Because, I mean, he didn't have that scar in the last game, so we're like...
So he just has a wire jigsaw on
his chest. I think the game tries to tell us, he was captured in the last game and he never wanted to go through that again, so he had this put there. That way, if he ever got captured again, he could get out.
That would suck to just have a wire jigsaw constantly just... potentially just stabbing your chest 24/7.
I mean, he got out.
Yeah, it helped him.
It helped him.
It worked.
It worked.
Yeah. So you know what? I'm the fool.
You are the fool.
I'm the fool.
He used it, dude.
He was the smart one.
Yeah, he put it there because maybe he'd ever get captured again.
You're right.
And he did.
Yeah. So I shouldn't even be saying shit.
Nope. You should.
He's a smart guy.
He really is.
I'm gonna think about doing something similar.
Okay. Cool. But yeah, he pulls the wire jigsaw out of the S-shaped scar.
Yeah.
The sentences I have to say for this fucking franchise are crazy.
Yeah.
But he cuts the bars and escapes from jail cell.
Cool.
How do you feel?
Oh, I'm really impressed.
Pumped and ready to go?
Yeah.
All right. Well, Snake heads back to the hangar where Peace Walker is. And he hears Coldman yell from the catwalk overhead that it's too late. We also see that Coldman has Paz held hostage.
Oh.
You know, the
Yeah, the
schoolgirl?
16.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Coldman then says that Peace Walker is finished and he's already picked Peace Walker's first firing location. And it just so happens to be an offshore location located in the Caribbean where MSF is.
Oh, I see.
Where Big Boss's mother base is?
Yeah. So he's gonna program Peace Walker to protect that.
Yes.
And
Essentially.
then
Well, no, he's going to program.
No, I know. That's
Yeah.
but that's my phrasing of it.
Yeah.
Because quote unquote, that is kind of what it does, or what it's kind of meant to do. But it's not.
Not protect that. He's going to program fake launches from that location to Peace Walker. So then when they.
Oh.
Yeah.
So then what is he having it protect? Are you about to get to that?
Well, it's not actually protecting anything. He's using it as like to show that Peace Walker can fire a nuke.
Yeah, because he's gonna fire a nuke on the Caribbean place. Right?
Yes.
So that is what Peace Walker is programmed to, quote unquote, fire back if it gets nuked.
The nuke is going to fire on MSF.
Yes.
MSF will be nuked.
So then Peace Walker will fire one back.
No. Okay. So like he's going to program into Peace Walker that MSF is firing nukes at, America.
Oh.
And then Peace Walker will see that MSF is firing nukes at its protection location.
But MSF is actually not firing
It's
nukes?
not actually firing nukes. They're fake nukes. So Peace Walker will fire a nuke at MSF.
So he's not actually showing that it works. He's just showing that it fires nukes.
He's showing.
So I guess that is showing that it works.
Yes, he's showing. Yes, Peace Walker can launch a nuke.
Okay, but he's not showing that it can do what it is programmed to do.
Coldman's not smart.
Okay.
He's a dumb guy.
Okay.
I don't like Coldman. He's my least favorite villain in the franchise.
Okay.
But yes, essentially, his plan is to program false data into Peace Walker that MSF is firing nukes on America.
Okay.
So Peace Walker will see that data and it will retaliate by firing a nuke back at MSF.
Right. And he's doing this to show the world.
To show the world that Peace Walker actually has the capability of firing nukes.
Okay.
Yeah.
But he's just showing the world that he has the capability of firing nukes, basically.
Essentially, but that's the whole thing that like Huey was like, Peace Walker's supposed to be a deterrent. It's not actually supposed to fire any nukes. Like the whole reason Peace Walker is being built so nukes don't get fired. And Coldman's whole thing is the world will never respect Peace Walker unless they see that it can fire nukes.
That's not a bluff.
Yeah.
Even though Huey wants it to be seen
as a bluff.
Or wants
or not as a bluff.
He doesn't want it to be seen as a bluff, but he wants it to never actually do what it's supposed to do.
Yes, Huey never wanted it to fire at all, ever. Huey just built it essentially as like a defense system, like, don't fuck with us because, I mean, it's not even in our control anymore.
Yeah, which also is just kind of interesting because he...
Do you use nukes to protect yourself against nukes?
Right, but if Huey obviously doesn't want anyone to fire nukes. But then he created something that if nukes are fired, more nukes will get fired.
Yes, but Huey is under the impression that just the mere existence of Peace Walker will stop nukes from being fired.
Yeah, I guess, but like it's like barely a step up of like just the mere existence of who you're firing on has nukes. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but the thing is that who you're firing on has nukes has human intervention. Yeah. So if Russia fired a nuke at America, America has the option to not fire a nuke back.
Yeah. And Huey's making sure that we fire nukes back.
Yes, there is no option.
Interesting, because he doesn't want nukes sent.
Yes, but Huey, he's fully believing the thought of nuclear deterrence, which is we don't have an option. If you fire a nuke at us, you will receive a nuke strike back, no matter what.
Yeah.
So people won't fire nukes because they know that if they do, they will be nuked.
Yeah.
And Coldman is like, yeah, well, no one's even going to believe that Peace Walker can fire nukes unless it fires a nuke.
Okay.
So
Right.
I'm going to nuke
Yeah,
MSF to show it.
Yeah.
Coldman's dumb. Coldman's theory is stupid, but that's his theory.
Yeah, because he's not even doing his theory. Because he's not even firing a nuke and then retaliating. He's just only retaliating.
Yes,
Okay.
essentially.
Got it.
But Coldman, he yaps on about all of this, and Snake is pissed off that he's choosing MSF to be the location of where the nukes are going to be fired.
Yeah. But they're not there anymore, right? They're on the offshore base.
That is MSF.
Oh, that's the offshore
Other
base?
base is where MSF is at.
Oh, okay. I thought it was like the place we started, but
No, basically
you're right, because it's in the Caribbean now.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
But Coldman, he then explains that once the world sees the capabilities of Peace Walker, they'll all want one of their own, and he will have the funds to mass produce them.
That also what? That also doesn't make sense.
Feldman,
People will want the funds to have something that fires that presses a button to fire nukes, but even though these people have hands that can do that themselves.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Goldman's dumb, dude. He's not a smart dude. He also is thinking, I don't think I wrote this down, but this is another one of his motivators, is he thinks that if he can get this project off the ground, that it'll buy him a seat into like the high of government of America.
Yeah, okay.
He's like, oh, they'll take me back into the higher ups of America because he got demoted or something.
Yeah.
And then he's also like, and I'll be able to mass produce them and sell them for money. And also, it'll be perfect nuclear deterrence. And I'm like, Coldman, you're fucking stupid.
Yeah.
You're not smart, dude. Stop.
Yeah, I feel like he's a little backwards right now.
Yeah, but that's what he says. And then he grabs Paz and takes her away as Peace Walker begins to emerge. And we get to see Peace Walker.
Metal Gear.
Metal Gear, dude. But it starts to walk away. Presumably to the launch location, And Snake, he fires a shot at it. And Huey calls him and he's like, dude, why would you do that? Why would you fire a shot at Peace Walker? Peace Walker has a self-defense mode, and upon detecting attack, it will abort all commands and engage appropriately. Meaning, since Snake just fired a gun at it, Snake is Peace Walker's highest priority target. Boss battle ensues.
Okay.
Snake fights off Peace Walker. It's just a mech battle against Peace Walker, and he's able to defeat it. As it falls over, Peace Walker starts to shake, and then it gets back and starts transforming into phase 2. Yeah, a 2-phase boss battle. And we get the actual real Peace Walker.
Is it like transform?
It transforms.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah. But a helicopter with Coldman, Strangelove, and Paz shows up. They're all on this helicopter, and they fire some weapons at Peace Walker, getting its attention off of Snake. And Peace Walker starts crawling away towards the helicopter, and a helicopter is leading it towards the launch location.
Yeah, because it's changed its target.
Yeah.
Yep, okay.
Snake whistles for the boss's horse, and he hops on, and he begins to ride the horse chasing after Peace Walker. Peace Walker begins firing missiles, and Snake is knocked back, and him and the horse fall off a cliff. Like, the missiles start hitting the ground, and like an explosion happens, and Snake and the horse are both thrown off a cliff. Unfortunately, the horse is injured badly in the fall.
Okay.
Snake is also injured, and he tries to climb back up the cliff, but Peace Walker is already too far gone, and it gets away. Like, it gets into the water. There's a lake, and it like gets in the water and starts swimming away.
Yeah.
So Snake can't chase it anymore. But he climbs back down and where the horse is, and the horse is twitching and softly neighing. Like it's pretty fucked up.
Yeah.
And Snake is forced to put it out of its misery.
That's sad.
As Snake relives the fateful day. And the way that you have to shoot the horse is the exact same way that you shot the boss. Where,
Mm,
like, Snake is standing over it with the gun pointed down and you have to pull the trigger.
yeah.
So it's like, man, this game, Snake is just reliving all of his trauma with the boss in this game.
Yeah.
He even had to kill her horse. Honestly, the horse killing part is the saddest part to me. I was sad when he killed the horse. I was like, no, dude, not the horse.
I know, that is sad.
But yeah, Snake calls Kaz and they talk about the whole situation. Kaz suspects that since Galvez was with the KGB, maybe Coldman found out and took pause, expecting her to be able to rat on MSF and the KGB, because, Paz was Galvez's student.
Okay.
So he's like, maybe Coldman took pause because she's affiliated with Galvez, who is KGB,
Yeah.
and maybe he's trying to paint us like we're working with the KGB.
Okay.
Kaz says that Snake needs to save Paz at all costs because the last thing they need to deal with is the CIA. Oh my God, the CIA or the KGB coming after them. On top of, like, because they're not like a super huge organization, so they don't want the CIA or the KGB coming after them. And if
Right.
Paz like confirms that they are helping out Galvez, then KGB and the CIA are going to.
And he still doesn't know even what Paz is up to.
Yeah, we don't
'cause
know what Paz is up to.
She clearly isn't originally what she said she was.
Yes.
Yeah.
So we don't know who's Paz's affiliations. Galvez did say that she doesn't know that he's KGB.
Yeah.
So who knows what Paz is doing?
Gotcha.
Unless he was just lying and she is KGB. But Snake goes back to Mother Base, to get ready for the next mission, and then he's dropped back in near the launching site of Peace Walker. He must now sneak in to like this ginormous fucking base. Like it's like almost a fortress of where Peace Walker's launch site is. He calls Kaz and asks, he's like, Kaz, maybe you should like evacuate Mother Base because, it's the target of Peace Walker's launch data. So like you should get the men out of there. And Kaz is like, no, me and everyone here back at Mother Base, we have faith in you. So we'll stay here.
Nice. That's
And
really smart.
Snake, he responds, he's like, I guess I have gotten attached to the plate. So, they're all like, this is our home now.
Okay.
Like,
So even if it's gonna get possibly nuked, we'll just stay here.
You
It's our
know,
home.
Man, it's about the principle. It's about the principle. This is their home now. They're defending their home.
They can't defend it though.
They're defending their home.
They're not
dude.
defending anything. They're
if-
just sitting there waiting and hoping Snake accomplishes his mission.
Snake is defending their home, dude.
Snake is. You're right.
Snake is defending their home.
Snake is. Yes.
Anyways, Snake heads into the facility and he notices something. That as he's making his way through the place, it is absolutely crawling with Russian troops.
KJB.
KJB. Dude, I always say KJB. It's KGB.
Yeah, I know. I go back and forth.
I don't know why. I don't know. Maybe it's just my dumb American self, but I have no idea why I do that.
KGB.
KGB.
KJB just sounds terrible.
Yeah,
so.
KJB doesn't sound good at all. But it's like
KJB.
when I'm like saying it like fast, I feel like
KGB.
KGB.
Yeah.
See what I mean?
Yeah. I get
When
it.
it's KGB.
Yeah. KGB.
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 KGB. Stop this.
No. Okay, do you want to know what Snake does?
Yes.
Yes? Okay, good. Well, he notices all the Russian troops. I already said that. And
How does he react to these Russian troops?
he's like, oh, man, Russians.
Yeah.
Why are there Russians here?
And he starts killing them, mauling them,
Russians.
beheading them.
No, he does exactly what I just said.
Sneaks.
Russians.
Right.
He literally, honestly, he probably pops a cigar and goes, Russians.
Okay.
And then smokes a cigar.
Probably. But what does he
Probably.
actually do?
Well, he sneaks.
Yeah. That's what
Yeah.
I figured.
He sneaks. Stop. He sneaks into the control tower that, they're assuming is where Coldman would be because it's the control tower. And he's ambushed by Coldman and his men, dude. Coldman says that it's too late and the false data is already in place. Snake asks what he's talking about, and Coldman explains that Peace Walker cannot initiate a missile strike, and it is only capable of making retaliatory strikes. So this is when Coldman explains that to Snake. Like, we were talking about it, and I explained it to you.
Mm-hmm.
This is when Snake learns that, like, since Peace Walker can't just launch a nuke, it can only make retaliatory strikes.
Yeah.
So they're using the false data.
Right. It
yeah.
can't, except it can, because that's what he's doing right now.
Yeah, but like, you can't just press a button and it fires a nuke.
Yeah, you have to do like 7 more steps.
Yeah.
And then it can just fire a
Yeah,
nuke.
exactly.
Okay. You have to press 8 buttons.
Yeah. Coldman then says that he's going to input false data saying that the Russians are going to nuke America. Therefore, Peace Walker will automatically assess the situation and retaliate.
Nice.
However, they have reverse engineered the data, so Peace Walker chooses Mother Base as her retaliation target.
Yep.
Coldman says that all that is left is to enter the code. Snake yells out to stop, and then Galvez walks in behind him.
Mm-hmm.
You know Ramon Galvez?
The dude who hired him?
Yeah. He says he's taking over the base took him a lot longer than he expected. And Coldman yells out, he's like, oh, Zadornov, what are you doing here? And then Galvez is like, yeah, I just took over the base. And fucking Coldman's like, Zadornov, you backstabbing son of a bitch.
Took over the base.
Yeah. Remember I said there was all those Russian troops?
Oh, so they were taking over this base?
Yeah, it sounds like it.
But he's working with Baldman?
Well, I mean, Bald Man just called him a backstabbing son of a bitch.
Oh, I thought you said Snake did. Okay, I understood.
No.
That makes sense. Okay.
Galvez explains that his actual name is Vladimir Alexandrovich Zadornov.
Nice.
And that he has been working under the same company as Coldman, but Coldman doesn't know that he's KGB. So this entire time, Coldman thought he was working with Zadornov, but Zadornov was KGB.
Because he is Zadornov.
Yes, Galvez is Zadornov.
Yeah.
Yeah, Coldman is not Galvez.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, okay. So Coleman thought he was working with the CIA as opposed to the KGB?
Yeah. Coldman thought Zadornov was working with the same company that he was.
So yeah, got it.
Yes.
Okay.
But Coldman is like, what are you getting out of this? Like, what are you trying to do here? Right. And Zadornov then says that his goal is simple. He's going to launch a nuke on Cuba. Coldman asks what he could possibly gain from doing that, and Zadornov says that it won't be him launching the nuke. It'll be the Americans launching the nuke because they're on American soil. They're using American weapons funded by an American regime. And he's like, if you guys launch a nuke on Cuba, which is a Russian ally, what will the rest of the world think? The entire world will become full of anti-American sentiments, and communism will be free to grow. He says that the age of deterrence will be undone by the deterrent itself. Zadornov then calls Strangelove, and he orders her to change the coordinates of the nuke point to Cuba or he will have her killed. And she reluctantly does so.
Who calls her?
Zadornov.
Okay.
So basically, what is happening is that Coldman was like, yeah, I'm about to nuke Mother Base. And Zadornov shows up and is like, yeah, actually, no, I'm taking over your operation. I'm going to nuke Cuba.
Yeah.
Zadornov, he grabs Paz and tells her to shoot Coldman. And Paz is like holding the gun and she's like shaking and she can't bring herself to do it. So Zadornov is like, oh, you truly are an angel of peace. And then he grabs the gun and shoots Coldman himself. However, he only shoots Coldman in the legs. He doesn't kill him.
Get this man in a wheelchair. Push him down the stairs.
That's what I'm saying. Coldman, you stupid bastard. But Zadornov, so Coldman is like, why would you, he's like, oh, you missed on purpose. And Zadornov is like, yeah, I still need you to input the codes. So, like, I can't kill you yet. And Coldman's like, oh, yeah, it makes sense. But then...
Okay.
But then,
And Zadornov is using Peace Walker to fire the nuke?
yes. Yes.
So this will imply that Cuba... No.
He's going to use Peace Walker to fire a nuke on Cuba, but it's going to look like the Americans did it. And since Cuba is a ally of Russia, it'll look bad for America. And then basically Russia can use this to get other people to their side and basically take out America.
Okay.
Zadornov essentially wants to end the Cold War and start an actual war between America and Russia because he's a communist to his core. He hates the capitalist dogs in America.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. But Zadornov, he then turns to Snake and he's like, Snake, you've outdone yourself. And basically, he tells Snake that Zadornov planted the Sandinistas where they were supposed to be. And Snake has turned them into a full-fledged army along with Mother Base, and that they idolize him. So, okay, you remember how I was saying, like, you can rescue people and recruit them into Mother Base?
Yeah.
That's what he means. Like, that mechanic is that Snake has turned them into an army.
Okay.
It's not like Snake has actually spent the whole game training people. It's like basically
yeah.
Snake has brought them into Mother Base.
Yeah.
And saving them, essentially. So he's like, all of these Sandinistas, they idolize you. And he's like, if you were tragically killed by the CIA's hands, they would revolt and they would overthrow the American rule in Nicaragua, giving us another access point for Russia. He holds his gun to Snake and he's like, you know, just like the classic Che Guevara. Basically saying he's going to do what happened with Che Guevara to Snake. Is this guy that basically formed like a militant group that everyone idolized. He's going to kill him tragically by the hands of like another power, trying to essentially get the Sandinistas and Mother Base to overthrow America's rule in Nicaragua so Russia can have another communist access point.
And that's the whole reason he wanted Snake to help him, quote unquote, was so that he could frame his death.
Yes, so he could frame his death and basically use Snake to, because Snake has built the Sandinistas into an army. So he's like,
So, well, it's more talking about the MSF in general, right?
in general, but there's not like 6 Sandinistas. There's like a large group of resistance fighters.
Okay.
You know, like I guess I didn't mention how many there were, but there is like a good amount of them. Remember I said that Chico ratted out some of Amanda's men?
Yeah.
Like it is like a pretty big amount of people.
Okay.
Like probably like a couple hundred at least.
Yeah. So he just wanted Snake.
He's basically used Snake as a way to militarize this group of people that were basically nothing soldiers. And he's going to use Snake's death to essentially make them revolt and overthrow America.
Okay.
And then with America, quote unquote, also shooting Cuba, he'll be able to use that to have other countries also want to overthrow America.
Okay.
Basically, Zadornov's entire goal is to destroy America.
Yeah. It's funny because, like, there's, like, firing a nuke on Cuba, and then there's Sandinistas attacking Nicaragua or something, right?
Yeah, no, I mean, there's a lot more
But
moving
it's a pretty,
parts.
like, I feel like that's, like, a really tiny, whereas then there's, like, firing a nuke on Cuba, and then, like, he hired Snake so that Sandinistas could fight Nicaragua, too. It's just a little...
Also,
It's also really, like...
Snake has destroyed those 3 other massive robots.
Oh, yeah, Snake's done a lot, but it's...
Well, I'm saying that Zadornov probably wouldn't have been able to just take those out.
Oh, you're saying it helped him get where he's at now. Too.
Yeah. Like Zadornov was always on the inside.
You're probably right about that.
But he
yeah.
essentially has been using Snake to like help push his goals further.
To weaken the
opponent, to give him a revolt point, and then he's going to use the nuke to like incite the nuke is the catalyst.
Okay.
Zadornov is a better villain than Coldman, in my opinion. Although he does kind of come out of nowhere at the end. However, I like him better than Coldman because I hate Coldman. Coldman's a stupid ass.
Right.
Stupid asshole.
Right.
But basically, as Zadornov holds this gun to Snake, Kaz and the MSF show up.
Oh. So they did leave.
They did
Mother
leave Mother
Base.
Base, yeah. They show up to rescue Snake.
Nice.
Yeah.
Okay. So they were just kind of goofing around earlier.
Well,
We're just gonna stay here. Just kidding, bro. We're here.
yeah, I guess.
That seemed like a really big deal to not keep from him. But at the same time,
They
I'm not as smart as Snake. I would never put a wire jigsaw on my chest.
That's true.
So
That's true. You're
I'm the fool.
you're 17 steps behind him.
I know.
But yeah, Kaz and the MSF, they basically rush in, and then it's a big, huge assault. There's this big battle of like MSF soldiers, the Sandinistas, Russians.
So they'll actually know the real truth now because they're there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
Oh, and also Snake probably could have just, did he have like an intercom or something?
he has a radio like he did in 3.
Yeah. So he could have just been like, if I die, it was not the CIA.
Yeah, but I mean, Zadornov was holding a gun to him.
Oh yeah. No,
So,
I know.
I mean, I don't know if I have a gun pointed at me, I'm not going to pull out my radio and be like, hey, by the way, if I get shot right now, it wasn't the CIA.
Yeah.
It was Zadornov.
Well, if anyone could do it, it's Snake.
It is Snake. He is the only one that could.
I have a lot of trust in him.
But after this huge battle, MSF, they're able to capture Zadornov and Coldman. They basically put him in handcuffs, they throw him on their choppers, and they start flying back to Mother Base.
Nice, dude.
Yeah. Snake's like, I should still probably destroy the mammal pod, though, just so
Yeah, probably.
so this can't happen again.
And is it still like programmed to nuke something?
Yeah, it is.
So yeah, that's probably good.
Things can't happen again, and it stops the nuke, so I'm going to go destroy the mammal pod.
Nice.
And then Zadornov and Coldman are being taken back to Mother Base with Kaz.
Okay.
I think Chico's on the chopper, too.
He better be.
But Strangelove, she pulls up in a vehicle, and she tells Snake she'll bring him to the mammal pod. So Snake hops in, and they start driving towards Peace Walker.
Nice. The woman that tortured him, right?
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. There's a little bit of character growth where she's like coming to terms with maybe she's a bitch.
Oh, okay. So she's aware.
She's aware that she's being an asshole.
And that makes up for
Yeah.
it.
I didn't write it down because I forgot to, I guess. But like there is character growth there. She does have kind of a, I'm being this evil, and what am I really getting out of it?
Okay, so she's like turned to the light side.
She hasn't fully turned to the light side. She's turned to the neutral side.
Okay.
And she's agreeing that if a nuke happens on Cuba, that's bad. So she's like, I'll take you to the mammal pod.
Okay.
Okay. Well, as they're driving towards the mammal pod, and Peace Walker, because the mammal pod is on Peace Walker.
Yeah.
But as they're driving towards Peace Walker, we cut to the helicopter with Kaz, Paz, Zadornov, and Coldman. So it was Paz, not Chico. But they're all in this helicopter. Zadornov and Coldman, they both have handcuffs on, so it's not like they can do anything.
Yeah.
Coldman, however, is losing blood because remember, Zadornov shot him in the legs. So Coldman's like laying there, losing blood, and they're all just kind of flying silently. And then we see Coldman's hand move up to his wrist, and there's like a little device on his wrist, and he starts tapping some buttons. And then we hear a high-pitched noise ring out. And Kaz yells out, he's like, what the hell did you just do? And Coldman says, Peace Walker's nuclear strike data can be sent to third parties too. And he says that he just sent false strike data to NORAD, which is the North American Aerospace Defense Command Center. So, the U.S. will receive data that says the Russians are going to attack the U.S., creating a chain of nuclear reaction attacks over false data.
So this is a separate thing. This isn't Peace Walker. This is like just normal nukes.
It's a separate thing. It's not Peace Walker. However, Peace Walker is the one that just sent this information
to
the AI pod on Peace Walker.
Yeah.
He says that pod can also be used to transmit false data to third parties. And I just sent false data of Russia attacking the U.S. to NORAD.
Okay.
So
Which
basically
is another AI?
No, NORAD is the North American Aerospace Defense Command.
So it's just people?
Yes, it's an actual institution
Okay.
in America's
So
government.
they're getting information that Russia is about
So
to send
basically,
nukes?
on the screen, they just get all these blips that come up of nukes are about to hit America.
Oh, so they feel it. So they think they see them. Or like the.
NORAD just got a bunch of information that they were about to be nuked.
Okay.
Yeah, essentially.
So not that they're currently getting nuked.
Not that
they're
nukes are
about to get
hitting,
nuked.
that nukes are on their way to hit them.
Okay, that they're in the air right
Yes,
now.
that they're in the air on the way to hit them at this moment.
Gotcha.
Basically causes what the fuck would you do that for? And Coldman, he says, this is the theory of nuclear deterrence. And, we'll see if I was right, because if the U.S. doesn't strike back on Russia,
Oh, I see.
then
what you're
I
saying.
was right. And we need Peace Walker. And causes yo, that's a load of bullshit. This is you're about to unleash all out nuclear war. And Coldman says that he's the only one who knows the abort code, and that they all better pray his theory is right, as Coldman dies from blood loss.
They better pray his theory is right. They
Yeah.
better pray that America fires nukes and starts a nuclear warfare.
They better pray that America doesn't fire nukes.
But his theory is that they won't.
His theory is that
That's
they
true.
won't.
That's
That's
true.
why they need Peace Walker.
So he wants nuclear warfare.
No, he doesn't.
What?
No, he doesn't.
He doesn't.
No.
But he just.
His theory is that America will not fire a nuke back.
Okay.
So basically, America's getting this information that Russia is about to nuke them.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And his theory is America's not going to fire back.
Okay.
So that's why we need something like Peace Walker to take the decision out of human hands.
Right. But if they had a thing like Peace Walker, it would fire back.
Yes.
Which he wants Peace Walker
but
to have something that fires back.
Yes, that's true. But the reason he wants Peace Walker is so that no one ever fires nukes. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but sending fake nukes to America doesn't prove his point that they need Peace Walker necessarily.
It kind of does.
But it puts them in a situation where yes, they have to decide whether to send nukes back or not. And if they decide not to, and then they find out that the nukes were fake, then okay, well it's a good thing they decided not to. But if they decide to do it,
yeah,
then it will.
Yes, but he's saying he's banking on the fact that they won't.
Okay.
He's banking on the fact that they won't, and he's like, since humans have the ability to make the decision to not fire back, that's why we need something like Peace Walker that won't make that decision. That way no one ever fires any nukes because they know they'll be nuked.
Okay.
Yeah?
Well, I don't know.
I don't think Coleman's right.
It's really confusing backwards thinking, I feel like.
I don't think it's that backwards. However, I think it's a dumb theory. But that is Coleman's theory.
Because I feel like if you program an AI to immediately fire... Okay, I get this, right? If you have something that has no choice but to fire back, and you realize that if you fire a nuke, you're also firing one on yourself. I get that. I get the thought of that. But at the same time, I don't know. It's also just always a possibility without it. If you fire a nuke on someone, they also just might fire back. I feel like that's already a deterrent. If we fire a nuke on this place, also 8 other countries could fire on us. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I would agree with you. I don't think that Peace Walker is something that should be had. However,
but he's also making this insanely risky move to prove
it is insanely risky. That's why he is and honestly, it's really shitty because he dies anyways. Yeah. So he basically tells everyone else, he's like, you better hope I'm right. And then he dies.
Yeah. You better hope I'm right that they don't fire.
Yeah. Because if they fire, then Russia's probably going to fire back and, and it's going to create a chain nuclear reaction.
It's going to do what Peace Walker would do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, but
he wants Peace Walker.
I think the whole goal of Peace Walker is to not have nukes fired.
But it fires nukes if nukes are fired.
Yes, but
it's a mental thing. I get it. It's a mental thing.
Okay.
But at the same time, it's a mental thing because
I have a bad feeling when we finish
humans
this
can
video.
make choices for like, yeah, it is a mental thing,
The game's
but it
name
also is a literal.
is Peace Walker, and if you fundamentally think the idea of Peace Walker is a stupid idea, it gives me a bad feeling for how you're going to feel about the game at the end.
It just, I don't know. It's an idea. I don't really understand it in practice, but
Think
we're
it.
about to find out.
I don't think it really doesn't make sense. I think it makes sense.
Yeah, it kind of makes sense. Yeah, I guess.
Yeah.
So, but it's also like, if somebody has a Peace Walker, then they've already made the decision to fire back. I feel like there's another way to do that.
There probably is a better way to
You
do
can be
it.
like, if you fire nukes on us, I guess this is what Peace Walker is. It is a system that immediately fires back. Yeah, you can just. So yeah, I don't know. I guess the fact that Peace Walker is an entity is just kind of the confusing part. But
I mean, just think about it as a system, because I mean, it is a robot controlled by AI.
yeah, well, like anybody can just say they have something like that.
Yeah, well,
It
that's
doesn't
what
even have to be a Peace Walker. You can just be like, yeah, our nukes are set up to immediately fire back if we get fired on. So don't do it.
I mean. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
But
So
that
I
is-
guess, yeah, I don't know. Maybe I'm just digging myself into a rabbit hole, and I'm just confusing myself.
I
Because I've
think
lost the plot.
I
at this
think
point.
you might be a little bit, because it's not that bad of it.
It's just
like,
a
it's
weird.
fine.
It's just weird that like a Peace Walker is just somebody saying, if you fire nukes on us, our nukes are immediately set to fire back.
Yeah.
That's what a Peace Walker is.
Yes, essentially.
But like, so who's gonna buy one of those when you could just say that?
It's Metal Gear, dude. It's a Metal Gear.
No, I'm just saying Coldman's his original idea of like selling Peace Walkers. Like, you don't have to sell it. Countries could just say they're gonna do that, and I feel like they could just say it's automatically set for that, and then there you go. Or they can just. But see, if they automatically,
They could say that, but if they have a Peace Walker, then it doesn't matter if they say it or not.
yeah, I guess. But like a Peace Walker is just, it's a thing programmed by humans to
Yeah.
immediately fire back.
Yes.
Which means they've already made that decision. Which means they would make that decision if they were fired on.
Well, I mean,
Well, maybe not, I guess, because it's not. See what's happening right now?
yeah. See, we're furthering down the rabbit hole.
I don't know.
I can tell that
It just feels like an extra step.
the idea of
maybe not.
the Peace
I'm
Walker
confusing
isn't
myself.
hitting too hard.
I don't know.
But if it makes you feel better,
I'm actually really intrigued if America fires back in this moment.
really.
Yeah, let's see.
So you want to see if Coleman's theory was right?
I do, because then we'll have more to talk about for 75 minutes.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. Sounds good to me. But basically, Coleman dies from blood loss, and Snake yells out to get into contact with NORAD. He calls Huey, and he's like, "Yo, get NORAD on the phone." Peace Walker becomes active with the data Coleman inputted as he was dying. So, Snake, he has got to destroy Peace Walker again, or else it's gonna nuke Cuba. So, with that being said,
It's gonna nuke Cuba again?
Yeah, because like when he sent the information, it reactivated Peace Walker's mammal pod.
Oh,
so
because
then
he
it
sent
kind of
that America's getting nuked.
yeah. So okay, basically what happened? It's convoluted. I'll give you that. But what happened was when Coldman sent the information to the mammal pod to send it to America, the mammal pod woke up, and the last thing the mammal pod was told was that it was supposed to nuke Cuba.
Yeah.
So it's basically resuming what it was doing because it was awoken by the new command.
Okay.
So it did the new command and it's finishing off its old command.
Okay.
Okay. Sound good?
Yep.
But basically, it's final showdown with Peace Walker time. Boss battle ensues. I will say this fight's actually super hard. This is probably the hardest boss fight in the entire series.
Oh.
Yeah. Peace Walker is no joke.
Okay.
It's actually the second hardest because Zeke is harder.
But
we'll save that for later.
Beast Titan.
Beast Titan?
Mm-hmm.
Honestly, the Metal Gears essentially are just kind of Titans.
Yeah. Honestly.
But Snake, he defeats Peace Walker. Unfortunately, Huey tells us that Snake has only damaged the drive system, which basically makes Peace Walker be able to function, but the data uplink is part of the mammal pod, not Peace Walker. So the NORAD data is still being sent, and America's still getting the false information. So the Cuban threat has been dealt with. However, America v. Russia, that whole situation is still a problem.
Okay.
So basically, Snake destroys Peace Walker, but the mammal pod is a separate entity that is just hooked up to Peace Walker, and the mammal pod was not destroyed.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Snake asks what he has to do to stop it, and Huey says that the mammal pod has to be destroyed. Snake starts shooting at the mammal pod, but it does nothing. And Huey tells us that the armor of the mammal pod was designed to withstand a nuclear war. So we're not going to be able to just shoot it and blow it up.
Gotcha.
Huey checks in on NORAD's communications. Basically, like he listens in on their comms. And it looks like they are gonna go through with the retaliatory strike. Coldman was wrong.
America is gonna.
I mean, from what Huey can hear on their communications, they're talking about sending back a nuke. Coldman was wrong.
Okay.
Huey says that if Snake can sink Peace Walker in the Lake Nicaragua, which is like on the edge of this test facility, right?
Yeah.
If he can sink Peace Walker in Lake Nicaragua, that the pressure should be able to short circuit Peace Walker's mammal pod, therefore destroying the data uplink. And NORAD would stop seeing the false information.
Okay. Okay. Do they have a way to contact NORAD?
They will, but like right now, they're trying to get into contact with them. They haven't been able to actually get a hold of them. Huey's just listening into their communications.
So they're trying to figure out. So they're
trying
doing
to
the alternate.
Yeah.
An alternate thing to stop it. Okay.
Essentially, because Kaz asks how much Peace Walker weighs, and Huey tells them that it's about 500 tons.
Mm.
So Kaz is like, yeah, we're fucked. We literally can't move that with anything in our arsenal.
Mm-hmm.
So in Snake, he like screams out. He's like, get NORAD on the phone.
Yeah.
I will say this whole scene, like most of it's a cutscene, it's honestly super climactic. It's pretty peak. Like with the music in the background and like the way the characters are so distraught and like you can hear like the sirens going off or the nukes and shit. It's pretty peak, I will say. Best sequence in the game, in my opinion.
Nice.
Snake, he is able to get into contact with NORAD. Huey gets a hold of him, and Snake, he gets on the phone with the head of NORAD. And he tells him to cancel the nuke launches. The chairman, he's like, who are you? What are you talking about? And Snake, he's like, I'm Big Boss. What they were doing was a test. You weren't supposed to receive that data. Those nukes are fake. You need to cancel that strike right now. And the chairman, he's like, how am I supposed to believe you? You're just a random guy telling me that you're Big Boss. Like,
True.
What do you mean? And Snake is like, I don't, and he's like, I need proof that you're actually Big Boss if you want me to believe you. Snake sighs, and he asked the chairman, he says, were you in the room that day that I was given the name Big Boss? And the chairman says, yes, I was in the room. And he says, Snake is like, well, then if you were there, you might remember that I refused to shake the CIA director's hand.
Mm-hmm.
And that only the people in that room would know what happened in that room because it's top secret information. And the chairman's like, I was there and you didn't shake the CIA director's hand. And he's like, it's still a bit risky, but I'm going to trust you. I mean, you sound like Big Boss and you know something only Big Boss would know. So we're going to stand down. He tells the rest of NORAD to stand down.
Okay, cool.
And then one of the chairman's men pulls a gun on the chairman, and he says, we're not standing down. It's ridiculous to believe that this man over the phone is Big Boss. Snake yells out, damn it. As the mammal pod opens up, it's like calling out to him. So like the mammal pod itself, it opens and it like starts saying Jack. It says Jack, like essentially kind of like calling to him to come to it.
Yeah. In the boss's voice.
Yes. Snake doesn't hesitate. He immediately jumps inside and starts pulling out all the memory boards. As he's doing this, the AI in the mammal pod starts tweaking out, and it causes Peace Walker to walk into the lake, causing the AI to be crushed under the lake pressure.
Okay.
Roll credits.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
And I'm guessing that the data sent to America is
Yeah,
gone
because
now?
when the mammal pod was destroyed from the pressure of the lake, it canceled the data uplink that was being sent
Right.
to NORAD, so they would see that those missiles were fake.
It was like the tension with the dude holding a gun to the chairman. Was that a little more prolonged, I'm guessing?
It was definitely more prolonged.
Yeah.
Like,
That's what I
I will
figured.
say, that cutscene is actually, like, peak. It's
Yeah.
actually a great cutscene.
Because I can imagine, like, the tension there was not, short. I mentioned
No,
that
no,
was, like,
it was more
the
drawn out.
final bit of
It was
being
more
like,
drawn out than I
are
said.
they gonna send it?
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah. Gotcha.
definitely.
Gotcha.
But yeah, that's the end of the main story.
So the Peace Walker's destroyed.
Yeah. There is more content to tell you.
I see.
That's the end
Post
of
credits?
there's some post-game content. Remember I said this game is it was made into missions?
I see.
So the main story is done, but we still got some more lore important things to go over.
Okay.
Okay? You ready for this?
Yes.
So after the credits are done rolling, we do get a post-credit scene. We see him like walk up to Snake and he says, "Snake, it's time to go back to Mother Base." And Snake says he's done. He's like, "I'm done, Kaz." He laments that when the boss put down her gun, she rejected her entire life up until that point, including him. He's done looking for answers. Snake says that when she put down her gun, she betrayed him. Doesn't matter if she betrayed her country or not, she betrayed him. And he won't make the same choices as her. He says, from now on, call me Big Boss.
She betrayed him?
Yeah. Snake views it as a betrayal. She essentially let herself, even if it was for her mission, she let herself die.
She betrayed him by dying,
Yeah, essentially.
but he killed her.
Yeah. Well, she died for her country, right?
Right.
She died for America. And Snake is saying when she put down her gun and let herself be killed for her country, she betrayed me.
Even though he is the one who pulled the trigger?
Yeah. He's saying he's saying that she, by putting down her life and putting down her gun as a soldier, stopped being a soldier and stopped living. I don't care if it was for her country. She let herself be killed, and that took her away from me. She betrayed me.
Okay.
Because, I mean, in the moment, Snake, he had to kill her. Like, he didn't have an option, but the fact that she let herself be put in that situation and she put down her gun,
Okay,
letting
so he's
him,
obviously thinking wrongly. Like,
yeah,
that's the point.
yes.
Yeah.
I mean, remember, Big Boss is a villain.
Yeah, yeah, I get it.
But basically, this is Snake's mentality: is that
Gotcha.
she put down her gun, she let her
He's
life.
blaming her for what he did.
Yes, essentially.
Yeah.
And he's like, she betrayed me, Kaz.
Okay.
And he said, from now on, call me Big Boss.
Okay.
But yeah. And then after that, we have some more missions that, I mean, aren't like, they're important, so I got to talk about them, but they're not part of like the main Peace Walker story.
Yeah.
All right. So in these missions, we learned that Huey, he has built MSF a Metal Gear of its very own. They used all the memory boards and stuff from the other AI pods to create an ultimate AI.
Huey?
Yeah.
Okay.
So Huey has built a new Metal Gear, and they call it Metal Gear Zeke.
Okay.
Yeah. And
Huey, the one who
Huey Emmerich.
Yeah, who wanted his previous creation destroyed because of its potential.
Yeah.
And he now created an even stronger one.
Yeah. No,
Okay.
dude. We'll get more on Huey. Just wait till we get to 5.
Okay. He bumped his head on the way down those stairs.
I like Huey's arc. I'll tell you that.
Okay. Okay.
I mean, I don't like Huey's arc, but I like his arc.
Okay.
Okay. So basically, they built Metal Gear Zeke from all the motherboards or memory boards that we've collected throughout the game from all the other AI pods, creating an ultimate AI. And then Kaz tells us that they recovered the nuke that was on Peace Walker from the bottom of the lake. And he's like, well, we couldn't have left it there anyways, because if we left the nuke in the lake, it would have contaminated the sea, like the water. So like we were going to recover it and we didn't know what to do with it. And he's like, I don't know what we should do with it. And Big Boss says that they should keep it. MSF stands alone from the other countries of the world, And Big Boss says, if we're ever going to stand up to the superpowers of the world, we'll probably need one ourselves.
Yeah.
So now they have a Metal Gear Zeke and they have a nuke.
Okay.
We see this is like, I don't know where to put this in the story, so I'm just going to tell you now. We see a scene of Huey and Strangelove flirting. Like, Strangelove walks over to Huey and Huey says some like corny shit to her. And she's like, "Oh, just make sure to like come after me or something." And she says it kind of flirty back towards him.
Yeah. Okay.
So we see a scene because, like, remember that was the letter earlier? Like, Huey has a crush on her.
Yeah.
We see a scene of her reciprocating that crush.
Yeah. I remember that.
Yeah, Strangelove is she's helping out Mother Base at this point. I don't think I said that.
Oh, okay.
So like she's on Mother Base with Huey and the rest of them, and she's like helping him out.
Gotcha. If these are Otacon's, is Huey Otacon's dad?
Huey Emmerich.
It's not revealed yet, but
I mean,
we would imply.
I don't think it's a spoiler if I tell you this is
the
Otacon's
dad that
dad.
like drowns, and then Otacon sleeps with his
Stepmother. Yeah.
So Strangelove probably dies too.
Well, I mean, I can't tell you all of that.
Yeah. No, I know.
But I mean,
I'm just trying to figure this out.
this is
Yeah, you
Huey
can't tell me all of
Emmerich,
it.
and
Yeah.
he builds Metal Gears. Otacon has said his father was a nuclear scientist.
Yeah.
And I mean, if he's in a wheelchair and can't walk, that would explain why
Why
being
he
in a
drowned?
pool would drown. So I'm just
Okay.
saying.
Okay.
But also in these missions, we learn that Zadornov has escaped captivity because they were holding him in jail on Mother Base.
Right.
I will say he escaped 7 times.
So they tried to. So he escaped. They captured. He escaped again. Blah blah.
It's
Okay.
clearly filler, but he escaped 7 times, and Big
Okay.
Boss has to go track him down. And on the 7th time,
Oh, you have to play that out 7 times?
there's 7 separate missions.
Oh wow.
Yeah, it's clearly filler.
Okay.
Yeah, but he on the last time, Big Boss tracks him down, and he's like, "I'm just gonna like I gotta kill him. Like he can't keep escaping."
Yeah.
So Big Boss tracks him down, and as soon as Big Boss does like track him down and kill him, because actually I should mention they're still on Mother Base this time. So like he finds him like somewhere like in the training ward or something, and then Big Boss kills him. You know.
Oh, okay.
And then after
So
Big
he
Boss,
was imprisoned on Mother Base?
yeah, he was
Okay.
imprisoned on Mother Base.
Gotcha.
And the last time that he escapes, Big Boss tracks him down and kills him.
So he escaped and he would like went to train
Yeah,
at Mother Base?
I guess. But
He's
when
like, listen, I just didn't want to be in jail.
I mean, can you blame him?
That's really all it was.
I don't want to be in jail either.
Yeah. I mean, I'll do what you want. I just didn't want to be in there.
Yeah,
And
facts, dude.
then he dies.
Zenonov's not such a bad guy. But no, once Big Boss kills him, Big Boss gets a call from Kaz, who says that Zeke is moving. And it looks like Zadornov had help from the inside. Someone inside MSF has been helping Zadornov, and Metal Gear Zeke is moving. He's like, you got to go figure out what's going on right now. So Big Boss rushes up to where like Zeke's hangar is, and we see who's piloting Zeke, and it's Paz.
Oh, okay.
Paz, she broke Zadornov out of jail, and every time she broke him out of jail, she would like run off and like make modifications to Zeke. Because
Okay.
remember, there were no human controls. This was all AI controlled.
Yeah.
So she basically made control, like she made
Oh wait, so
tweaks
wait,
and shit.
they've just had pause with them, and like they chose to trust her this whole time.
They haven't really like trusted her, but she's been on Mother Base.
Okay.
So they're not like, Paz, you're the best. We love you. But it's like,
Well,
Paz
they
is
let
there.
her roam free.
Yeah, because she never did anything like actually bad. She just got
Well,
caught in a lie.
yeah, which was a pretty big deal because it's the whole reason Snake went on that mission,
No, the whole reason Snake went on that mission was because of the boss's voice.
which
Remember?
was Paus's story.
Yeah, but we heard the cassette, so like
Yeah, I guess.
he didn't go for Paz.
Yeah, but that her agenda was to get him on the mission, which would lead to his death.
You know, I think I see what you're saying, but it's fine.
Yeah.
It's fine.
All right.
But yeah, Paz is piloting Zeke, and she was using Zadornov as a distraction. And while she's piloting Zeke, Paz says that she is working for an organization called Cypher this whole time.
No way. It
Yeah,
was Cypher the whole
it
time?
was Cypher, dude.
Damn,
Do
dude.
you know who Cypher is?
I had a feeling it was Cypher, but
Do you know who Cypher
I
is?
didn't know what they were. I just had a feeling.
You had a feeling it was Cypher?
Who are they?
I'm not telling you.
Okay. That's what
Um,
I knew that's what it was. I know who they are. I'm not gonna tell you either, but
okay, cool.
I'm picking it up.
But during this monologue that she's giving about working for Cypher, she reveals that her real name is not Paz.
Oh.
It's Pacifica Ocean.
What does that mean? War?
Pacifica
Yeah.
Ocean?
Yeah. Is
No,
that-
it means the Pacific
Oh,
Ocean.
okay. Because
Yeah.
I thought like, oh, my name's not actually Peace. It's War.
No,
My name's not actually Peace. It's Pacific Ocean.
it's Pacific Ocean, dude. But
It
yeah,
would be cool though if like her real name meant War.
yeah,
That'd be so cool.
that would be cool. You're right.
I'm pissed. It means Pacific Ocean.
Pacific Ocean. She mentions Zero.
The
Weird.
real villains. I'm sorry. The real villains of these stories are the parents naming these children.
That's true.
Okay.
They're all bad.
That's the real villain of MJS.
Yeah, because that's her real name. That's not her code name.
Yeah.
Her real name is Pacifica Ocean.
Yeah. Hot Coal Man and Pacific Ocean. Gosh.
Pacifica Ocean.
Yeah, right. They had to throw that in. All right. Sorry. keep
But
going.
she mentions the name Zero. And then she says that Cypher's will one day rule the world. And that Cypher wants MSF to be their army without a border. She says that Cypher is offering Big Boss to be able to retain control of MSF and Zeke if he submits to Cypher's will. Big Boss tells her to fuck off, and boss battle ensues.
So now he's fighting Zeke.
Yeah.
Okay.
He's fighting Paz, who's piloting Zeke.
Okay.
Once Big Boss defeats Zeke, we see like an explosion happen, and Paz falls out of the cockpit into the ocean.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. After this whole ordeal, Kaz comes down and he talks to Big Boss on the deck of MSF. Kaz, he walks up to him and he goes, "Boss, there's something I gotta tell you." And Big Boss is like, "What is it, Kaz?" And he's like, "I knew who Zadornov and Paz were the whole time. I knew they weren't who they said they were." And Big Boss is like, "Kaz." That's all he says. He goes, "Kaz."
That's it.
Yeah.
He's like, ah.
Well, he's clearly pissed off.
Okay.
But Kaz is like, he's like, "Hey, but I was using them. Like because MSF would have never grown this big without their help. Like the only reason we have Mother Base is because of Zadornov."
But he still just didn't tell Big Boss.
Yeah, he didn't. He's like, "Big Boss." He says this to him. He's like, "In the future, they're gonna need people like us, an army without a nation, an army for any nation. There's gonna need the war will become an economy one day, and what we do will become a business, and people like us will be a necessity." And Big Boss is pissed, and is like, "Guys, we weren't supposed to get involved with international affairs, but we did. This whole Peace Walker situation has put us on the map, and the whole world probably already knows that we exist. And now we're going to be hunted for it. Whether it be by America, Russia, or whatever this Cypher group is." Big Boss says that the existence of MSF is a wrench in the order of the world. But it's too late to turn back now. They'll have to live with what they've done. They'll have to live this lonely battle together and see how long they can survive. Big Boss says, "The hunt is on, Kaz, and the whole world is on our tail."
Why?
Roll credits.
What? Why did Kaz just not tell him at the beginning of the game?
Because he knew that if he told Big Boss that he knew who they were, and that they were, if he told Big Boss that he knew that Zadornov was a KGB spy, and he knew what his agenda was, then Big Boss would have never gone on the mission.
Right.
From Kaz's perspective.
Yeah. So what?
But Kaz wanted the Mother Base, so he didn't tell Big Boss and let Big Boss find it out himself.
That's true. So I see. So at the end, he was basically being like, "I used you," and then Snake was like, "Kaz," and then he was like, "But it's for a good reason."
Basically, Kaz is thinking about MSF as a business. Whereas Big Boss he doesn't necessarily view it as a business. He just wants a home for exiled soldiers like himself. Kaz is like, yeah, no, this is a business. We're a mercenary group. We can make money off of this.
Mm-hmm.
And he basically is like, yeah, Big Boss, I used you. And Big Boss is like, well, fuck. I mean, it's not like we can go back, you know.
I feel like you should have told him that before. Pause. I don't know.
I mean, the way you do missions in this game is up to you. Like you can see this cutscene before then.
I forgot about that. That's
Yeah.
true. Okay.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
I'm only because this is like the last major
Yeah,
cutscene, so that's why I left it at the end.
that's cool. I get it.
But as the credits roll, we get a second post-credit scene.
Okay.
You ready?
Wait, are these like the same credits?
Nah,
Is it just different credits?
it's the same credits, I guess. It's
Okay.
not as long, if that makes you feel better.
Yeah. No, it's just funny. It's like, are they just showing the same names like twice?
Yeah.
Okay.
But in this post-credit scene, we see the black screen with like the Metal Gear Solid logo on it, and we hear Big Boss giving a speech. Like there's no visuals,
Yeah.
but we hear Big Boss giving a speech to a group of men. And he says, "We are soldiers without borders. We will be whatever those who can't defend themselves need us to be. We will be revolutionaries, criminals, terrorists, whatever the times demand. We have no place in heaven and no place in hell. We only have our home, outer heaven."
Mm,
And that's the end of the game.
nice. So wait, he
In my opinion, that post-credit scene is the start of Big Boss's villainy.
I see.
That's when Big Boss becomes a villain. Because when this game came out, a lot of people were like annoyed. They're like, okay, well, Big Boss saved the world again. So like we didn't see him become a villain. But to me, that post-credit scene is Big Boss becoming a villain. Because before, he just wanted a home for soldiers. You know what I mean? He wanted, in his view, a nation for soldiers, according to the boss's will. But throughout the game, as Big Boss keeps trying to answer the question of why did the boss let herself die, and he doesn't get an answer, he comes to the conclusion that she let herself die. She betrayed me. So I'm not going to be like her. I'm not going to lay down my arms. I'm going to fight until my dying day. And basically, MSF becomes outer heaven.
Okay.
War criminals, terrorists, whatever anyone needs. They'll take on any clients. They're just people who fight.
Yeah. Okay. Okay.
That's Big Boss's. Now that's not, we don't get to see him do any villainous acts, but that is, in my opinion, when he becomes a villain.
Yeah.
It's also, it's not like he's just like saying this in front of a group of people. Like you can hear like a microphone effect. Like it sounds like he's like shouting this out over like a crowd of like 1,000 people. Like you can hear the soldiers chanting Big Boss. Like it sounds like a huge event.
So he doesn't blame America anymore like he did at the end of the third game. He blames
The
her.
boss.
Interesting. Okay.
I wouldn't even say he blames. I still think he blames America, but he also now blames the boss.
Okay.
It's almost as
Well,
if
that's kind of fucked.
he's not a good guy. He's a villain.
I know.
He's a villain.
Yeah.
I definitely don't want you to be like, oh man, this sucks. Big Boss is becoming bad. It's like, yeah, no, that's
No, I know. I get it.
the point.
Yeah, I get it. Yeah.
Is Big Boss is starting to blame the boss
Yeah.
because in his eyes she betrayed him. And it's just he's being selfish.
Right.
Because obviously she did not betray him because she wanted to hurt his feelings. She was a true patriot. She gave her life so her country wouldn't go to war.
Yeah, I guess that is the point. I guess that is the whole thing.
And Big Boss is like, she gave her life. I loved her, and like she fucking left me. Even
Yeah.
I don't care for what cause. She left me, and now I don't want to be like
It's
her.
the classic, lose someone you love, become a terrorist.
I mean, that's essentially what he's doing.
Yeah.
But yeah, that speech, In my opinion, that is the moment Big Boss becomes a villain. Because he very clearly says, we'll do anything for anyone that needs it, become war criminals or terrorists, no matter what the times need.
It is interesting though that this is like 10 years later,
Yeah.
and like this mission is the one that.
Well, I think it's because of the AI. Like he's had all this time, and because okay, so if we think from MGS3's ending to now, the entire time between then, he was working with Zero, still disillusioned with America and not trusting of governments.
Yeah.
And then they did the Leon Fontaine project, and he was like, "Fuck all of this. I'm gonna go do my own thing." And then as soon 2 years later, like it's literally 2 years after that, this whole thing happens where he's confronted with the boss again in the form of the mammal pod.
Right.
And basically now, since he has this opportunity, quote unquote, to speak to the boss again, and he doesn't get the answers he wanted. And he takes that as there are no answers. I'm done looking for answers. Fuck all of it. Fine. I'll make MSF into outer heaven.
Right. I didn't. Yeah. I guess I just didn't realize at the end of 3, like I didn't have the idea that he had any answers to look for.
Well, yeah. I mean, the end of 3 doesn't really leave you with that, but I mean, this game very because I mean at the end of
Yeah, I get
3,
it. This is the game that it's like showing us that.
yeah, because he I mean it's very clear cut what the boss did,
Yeah.
but Big Boss himself is like I can't wrap my head around why she did what she did.
Right.
Like he can't wrap his head around it.
See, I actually thought at the end of 3 that Big Boss was gonna become a villain, but not actually in a villain way. I thought he would be a villain who's like you can understand why he's doing the things he's doing. But no, he just is a villain.
Yeah, he's becoming a terrorist
Yeah.
because and not to say he hasn't lived through some shit because MGS3 is a tragic story.
Right.
Like he does have a tragic background, but like he let those tragic events form and shape the rest of his life into villainy and warmongering and using other people to further his own goals.
Yeah.
And I mean, we still have another game to get through, so we'll get to see more of how his life
That'll
has.
be interesting, like from his perspective of fully turning to the dark side.
Yeah.
Right? Is that what it is?
Yes.
Or like still kind of on his way there?
I can't tell you much.
Okay. Okay.
Five's got a lot going on.
Gotcha.
But I will say now, because I mean, like I said, this is the point I think Big Boss becomes a villain, and we know he becomes a villain. So I think this makes Solid Snake so much more of a better character because Big Boss had these tragic events that shaped the rest of his life, and he let it turn him into a monster. Whereas Solid Snake had tragic events from his birth, right? He was made into a clone of Big Boss. He was literally made as a tool for war. And yes, he does fight his whole life, but he always fights for a good cause.
Yeah.
So Solid Snake essentially does what Big Boss doesn't. That's why he seems so heroic to me,
Mm-hmm.
is that all of the things that Big Boss has happened to him, he lets it eat away at him, and he lets it drive him further into villainy.
Yeah.
Whereas Solid Snake takes it on the chin and only pursues good.
Yeah, that's absolutely true.
Seeing Big Boss's descent into villainy only makes me view Solid Snake in a more heroic light.
Yeah, definitely. Because Big Boss seriously is he's going deep, man.
I mean, he did recruit a child into
Yeah.
his fucking
I hope Chico makes a comeback.
He does.
Good. I want to see this man do some shit because he probably will, or he'll die.
I'm not gonna say anything else.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's where Peace Walker ends. My opinion, Big Boss's turning point.
Yeah.
So with 5, we'll get to see what it's like after Big Boss has made the decision to live in outer heaven.
Yeah.
So
And be a full mercenary.
What are your thoughts on Peace Walker, dude? Like, I'm not saying give a full rundown, but like, what you thinking?
I mean, it was it was fine.
Yeah.
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 I mean, it was like I don't know. I
Other
wasn't really because it's like a felt like a preliminary game, you know, which is probably what it is. If it was only on the PSP, I guess, like you said. Yeah, I get it. Like you definitely need this game before 5, because, but it's like another introduction to a bunch of new characters. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
So
it is definitely the setup to 5.
yeah, I didn't really get a lot of the motivations, and also some of the, I don't know.
I think, I mean, now that we've covered the game, I can tell you this is. I'm gonna get so much hate for this. I am already telling you, our 14 million listeners are coming from my head after the statement
Okay,
that I'm about to say.
okay,
This is my least favorite Metal Gear.
I would agree.
This is my least favorite Metal Gear Solid.
Is it really?
Absolutely. The only thing I like about this game is Big Boss's character arc.
Yeah, and I kind of like that.
I mean, I definitely like it. I
I
like seeing him
I like
fall into
I
villainy.
also like his character arc. I just think it's a really weird vehicle to get to this point. Like from the start of the game to the end of the game, cool. But like everything in between, it was just a little bit
You are
weird.
also on the exposition seat,
Oh yeah,
so like
I didn't get
there,
to play it.
yeah, you're definitely like the emotion that David Hayter's performance has when he's talking to the boss's AI pod, and like that final scene of him telling Kaz that she betrayed him, the emotions that you can hear in this man's voice, and like the way that Snake acts throughout this game is just, it's
You know what?
beautiful.
And honestly, the thought of it's almost like him talking to himself when he's talking to the AI. It's
Yeah,
like when I think of it like that, it's him battling his own thoughts, and then at
no,
the end he loses.
that's exactly what it is,
Yeah,
because he's basically trying to force his thoughts onto this AI pod, be like, give me a reason why she didn't,
yeah,
give me a reason why I should be okay with this, and he doesn't get one,
yeah.
and it forces him into saying she betrayed him.
And I still need to spend a few hours thinking about Peace Walker.
Yeah,
About the Peace
I will
Walker.
say the Peace Walker is, if you can't even get behind the concept of the Peace Walker, the game called Peace Walker might not hit for you.
Also, like at the end, America chooses to fire back, so it automatically it debunks the whole theory behind having a
Yeah,
Peace
no,
Walker.
Coleman's theory was wrong.
Yeah. So, which I'm not saying that was a bad story thing. I think that's cool. But
Yeah. But like the fact that this game, it's graphically less so because it's a PSP game. I don't like the controls of this game. The story, it's like I said, it's a setup to 5. It's really bland except for like the stuff with Big Boss.
yeah,
Like I think Peace Walker, I think the actual concept of an AI that automatically strikes back is cool, but like it's all like the way it's used in the story is fine. I like the
yeah,
fact I like Kaz. I like that Huey is introduced. I'm not gonna say I like Huey, but I like that Huey is introduced.
yeah. Huey is just he didn't really make sense,
Oh,
but
you don't like Huey?
he didn't make sense to
Okay,
me.
well let's wait till 5. Let's wait
Okay.
till 5. But I like the characters, the on the good side.
Yeah.
Really, I mean the villains sucked. This game has the worst villains in the entire franchise, in my opinion.
Yeah. And I think the separation
And some people say that 5 has the worst villain, but I think this game holds
really.
the worst villain.
Okay.
Like I told you, dude, 5 is the most divisive game in the series.
Yeah. And it's your favorite, isn't it?
It is my favorite game of all time. It's
Yeah.
not even my favorite Metal Gear.
That's what I thought.
It is my favorite game of all time.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you already knew that before. It's not like I'm
Yeah.
giving you
No,
anything.
no.
But
I've seen you play that game a
I,
few times.
I have a lot of
Several
hours in that
times.
game.
Yeah.
But yeah, dude, I'm curious to see what you're gonna think of 5. And honestly, I'm right there with you on Peace Walker. This is not. I mean, I like the game. I don't think there's like a bad Metal Gear game, but it's by far my least favorite.
I think the whole thing with Peace Walker was like it's an AI that automatically fires back, but like it's also just it's still a tool. Like it gets used as a tool the whole time. So it didn't feel like its own entity that is going like it's a program tool. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I feel like they could have done something cool with Peace Walker where it was like literally its own entity that
I didn't really mention the whole ghost in the shell thing, but like it's so barely even acknowledged that like dude, it would have just dragged our video out for like another hour if I was trying to like theorize with you. But like during the final scene when Peace Walker walks into Lake Nicaragua, it's like the boss AI, Strangelove, proposes that there's a ghost in the shell and that the AI comes to life
Oh,
and that it's actually the boss doing a final act of heroism. And it's fucking stupid.
yeah.
It's stupid. I don't like it. And it doesn't make sense.
See, then that was also confusing. It's like, why do you need to put the boss's data into Peace Walker when Peace Walker has one job? If a nuke is fired, it's coded to fire back. Like, why do you need to have
Yes.
and
The
like
reason for that, though, was Strangelove wanted to figure out why the boss did what she did. So
yeah,
she was using it
but
as a.
like it didn't make sense. Why would you use it Peace Walker to do that? Just make your own AI on the side.
Well,
Like,
she's getting funding from the government to make this.
so okay, that makes
So
sense. Okay, so it's just like a money issue.
how much money do you have to.
Well, okay,
Like, she's getting paid to do this, and she's also getting funding, so she doesn't have to use her own money.
yeah,
And
there we go.
she's
That's the
using
reason.
this opportunity.
She was poor.
Yeah.
Okay,
Strangelove's a poor, what's the word? Wench?
she's that is a word you could use.
No, like, it's not wench. It's a different word. Waif?
Oh, 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 oh.
Waif.
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 Yeah, poor
She's a
waif.
poor waif.
There you go. You called her a wedge, dude.
I actually don't
How do you
mind.
feel about
I
that?
actually like Strangelove.
Yeah.
And like I said, I didn't give you too much of her arc because, time, but like her arc is all right.
Yeah.
But yeah, with this game, Big Boss's arc and the introduction of characters is really all I care about.
Yeah. I didn't hate it. It was just a little mild.
Yeah, it was very mild.
Yeah.
Nowhere near reaching the highs, and no, it doesn't hit the lows either.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's fine.
That's all right.
I will say, when we're done with Metal Gear, what are we planning on doing, Justin?
We're gonna give a so we're gonna make a video and we're gonna both give our thoughts on the franchise as a whole.
Yeah, and we'll do
like a final review.
Yeah, like a final review of the entire franchise, and we'll rank every game. So I'm not ranking them for you now, other than obviously this will be my least favorite, but I haven't ranked the other games either.
Yeah.
So in that review room, when we do the review room on the end of MGS,
Yeah.
we will rank the entire series and we'll give our thoughts on each game to just kind of wrap the whole series up, like a final hurrah, final send off.
Exactly. And I'm really interested now because you're saying the fifth game's divisive, and I am interested to see if we disagree.
I am interested to see if we disagree too, because all you know about my ranking is 5 is at the top and Peace Walker's at the bottom. You don't know what goes on in the middle, but 5 is at the top.
I do.
So if you don't think 5 is at the top, we're going to be disagreeing.
And that's the last game.
It's the last game.
It's the last of the last.
And yeah.
For us, at least.
Yeah, because Delta comes out later this year, and I will be absolutely demolishing that game.
Yeah.
But until then, I'm gonna play some Death Stranding, dude. Because like I said at the beginning, I just got that game, so like I'm
man.
actually getting hype into it. It's actually kind of good.
You're liking it?
Yeah.
Cool.
But yeah, with the whole review room thing, we thought that'd be a cool idea if after we finish a franchise, like when we're done with Mistborn, we could do like a review room on the whole thing as a whole.
Most definitely.
As like a send off, like we're done, hurrah.
Because by the time this video comes out, we'll already have our first episode of the review room out, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So we'll mention it on there too. But yeah, every time we finish a franchise in the Exposition Seat, we'll pop over in the review room to do a review on whenever we finish too. So it'll be our place of reviews.
Absolutely. Almost like a
room.
Review.
Review.
It's a room.
Okay. I don't know if it caught any of that.
I don't think it caught any of that. We just got possessed by demons.
Yeah, we got a little freaky.
Hot under the collar.
We get freaky sometimes.
Yeah.
I get the most freaky at the end of videos because I know what's coming next when we turn the recording off.
Yeah, we're gonna go CQC each other.
Yeah, and it's gonna be real intimate.
Dude, say that CQC.
CQC.
Dude, It's like so like visceral. It's like CQC.
Yeah.
Yeah.
CQC stands for close quarter coming.
Close quarters coming, dude.
Yo.
Bro, I can't wait to go CQC with you.
I know, man. Me either.
Anyways, me and Justin got to go CQC each other. So before we go, I guess real quick, I got to tell you that you can find us on YouTube and Spotify at the Pigpen Podcast, one word.
Was not quick enough.
YouTube, Spotify, Pigpen Podcast, one word.
It's dude. Okay, one more time. Can we please hurry up?
No spaces.
You've said it 3 times now. Next time, say it once fast. No, don't say it a 4th time. Do not say it a 4th
You
time.
said say it once fast.
Next time.
Oh,
We're
next
wasting time. We need to end this, dude.
We need to end this so we can go CQC.
Oink, oink. I said it. Yay. Next Friday. Find us. What?
We're leaving all of this in.